Welcome, early heads in chat. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Why am I calling you early heads when I'm 2 hours late to my own stream? What is up, chat? What is up, chat? It is Saturday, 29th of March, between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. I am back and ready to do it all over again. How are we doing this fine morning, evening / afternoon? Apologies for coming in late on today's stream. I was doing an interview with a dear Brazil mentioned comrade. It went into like 2+ hours. It was about the Serbian protests. It was very fun. We also recently had Ian, also from Brazil over at the D program, which is currently up on Patreon. How are you, beautiful sons of bitches, doing? I am sick again. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I got a very, very nasty cold. My nose is full as shit. My throat is full as shit. But I haven't streamed in a second, so I was like, I must give the masses what they demand, okay? Brazilian comment section, exactly. That's the episode that is out now. Yeah, I've been basically struggling with a cold. I had a very long drive over the weekend to a funeral and back from a funeral. Then I finally arrived at home. I got very sick. The lady was basically fucking nurturing me back into life for like a day and a half. Now I'm a bit better. I don't really have any fever. At least I don't think I have any fever. My brain is operating on 30% speed, but that should be fine. I don't know. Twice in a week is very weird. There's some women in the audience too. Are there? Are there really? Why are you telling me this? Of course I know there's women. What's up? When I say what's up, guys? It's gender neutral. What's up, brothers? Is also gender neutral. But yeah, hello. Very nice. Today we're gonna talk about a bunch of shit. Pretty much from the playlist. Let me start with the first one. Whatever. Blah blah blah. No interest today. I'm too tired. So with this.
During the pandemic, we all learned to work remotely. One of the issues that we've got, right, and this is a big issue as well, because you care about wealth inequality. One of the biggest issues I see is that during the pandemic, we all learned to work remotely, and remote work became the norm. And what I see at the moment is huge amounts of what would have been normal British jobs are going to the Philippines, going to India, going to Vietnam, people who work remotely now. We now have 1,000 millionaires a month leaving to go to Dubai. We have 120,000 British people living in Dubai.
Yeah, well, capitalism is not fucking loyal to absolutely anybody, including a nation state or a particular nation state's political elite, and it will outsource itself to whatever plane of existence in which it can maximize profits, either through the form of tax minimization or lower wages for workers. I can't wait for this guy to give this a spin that is in no way connected to capitalism, of course, or the system he finds himself in. Probably the opposite, right? The market is somehow supposed to fix the very things that the market causes.
In that economy, the world's become incredibly mobile. And one of the things that's happening is that what would have previously been good.
So what, protectionism? So what, we force the economy to implode in on itself by not interacting with foreign markets, which will then make everything much more expensive in our country. And then we will say we have a crisis, and then we will pay for that crisis by saying that the working people have to pay for it, and we will simply bail out all the larger conglomerates and companies that have failed. Phenomenal.
British jobs are getting moved overseas to lower cost countries. And that's technology that drives that wedge. The US is very smart in that they've built a technology powerhouse, and the UK has completely lost our
What does that mean? That means nothing. What is a technology powerhouse?
Technology industry, our tech industry.
Our technology industry. What is a technology industry? What the fuck are you talking about?
Is in decline, same across Europe. China and the US know that the game is tech, and they're basically pulling all the tech company into their borders. And what's happening a lot is the erosion of good jobs and the erosion of just normal, well-paying jobs because they're going. And it's a bit of a...
Why are they going? Why are they going? You ever heard of the falling rate of profit, bruv?
Self-fulfilling loop, that the more we lose millionaires, the tax burden falls on everyone else, so they put the taxes up, and then the millionaires say, oh, the taxes are too high, so they leave. I've watched some of the most incredible entrepreneurs that you would want here that would employ your sister at a high rate, and they've picked up and left because the taxes are too high.
So are you saying we should tax?
Thank you very much, Mumbles459, for the sub.
Wonderful.
Welcome,
A new
chat.
child
Welcome,
soldier.
chat.
I mean, subscriber.
Reminder, I believe that subs are much cheaper today. We have a 35% off, but that is for all the fucking plebeians all over Twitch. That means that 30% off for 10 gift subs, which will turn into 15 gift subs, which basically makes gift subs 60% cheaper only here on YugopnikTwitch. So let's funnel the Balkan scheme really fucking hard. There we go, Barry, you fucking G. There you go, Barry with the fucking 10. Now I'll walk back in on that shit. Call the bluff with another 5. Let's fuck up Twitch, make them fucking confused on what the fuck is happening with the fucking chains that we're doing over here, okay?
Child soldier.
Anyways, thank you, Barry, for improving my mood. Thank you, Mumbles, for another 10. That's what we're talking about. It's another 10 for Mumbles, which means another 5 for me. Twitch is like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? And then Barry is like, here's another 10, which means another fucking 5 for me. Let's fucking paint the chat purple. Look, there's more subs than there are fucking chatters, okay? The Balkan scheme will always fucking scheme. Man, why do you think I wear a mask? Because I'm afraid a right-winger might attack me because I'm a communist? No, because I'm conning this entire fucking platform, bro. And I don't want Amazon assassins being fucking thrown my way, baby. Let's fucking go. That's what I like to see, motherfucker. Very good shit. Thank you, Barry, and thank you, fucking Mumbles, motherfucker. Yeah, baby, yeah. Anyways, back to my boy Gary. Back to my beautiful little boy Gary. I love Gary. Gary's been popping off. Gary's a comrade. Gary simplifies very large and complex points into ones that can be easily digested.
Crazy hamburger! Crazy hamburger!
I'm American. We have a rich history of filling the void with fake people. Absolutely, yes.
Working people less.
Well, the overall government has to be smaller. You can't. Whoever's
so what do you want to cut?
Okay, so a lot of millionaires are leaving the country. That is forcing.
Crazy
Oh
hamburger!
my God, the fucking.
Crazy
A lot of millionaires are leaving the country. That means that the government coffers are becoming more and more empty. So regular everyday people need to fill those coffers. My solution to this is a very, very smart man, is to limit how much the government taxes rich people so they stay here and pay less taxes, so that normal people should pay less taxes. So I want us to have fuller coffers by making millionaires pay less taxes, which would at least keep them here so they pay domestic taxes instead of taxes abroad. I will fill our coffers more by making very wealthy people pay less taxes. And that might, in some fictional world, outbalance how much the everyday Joe has to pay. It is really smart. I've never heard that before. You guys ever hear that before? I've never heard that one before. Very smart.
In the government.
If you, yeah, well, I mean, you'd have to.
Thank you, Hada Balkan. Thank you very much for the prime. Welcome, my friend.
Child services.
We'd have to. No.
Police.
No. Well,
Education.
No,
NHS.
All I know is this.
Pensions.
You go to Switzerland, they spend
Welfare for single mothers.
25%.
Disabled benefits. What do you want to cut?
Hold up. All I know is in Switzerland.
I'll tell you what.
Man in pajama has aggressive anal sex with preppy British boy. This is what they should call this video and upload it to fucking Pornhub, bruv.
The government is 25%.
cut the taxes on those entrepreneurs and raise the taxes on the billionaires.
Yeah.
Because I worked my tits off.
How many billionaires are in the UK?
There's a lot of billionaires in the UK.
Oh yeah, my argument against taxing billionaires more is that there's not a lot of billionaires. That's the point. That's the point, that there's not a lot of them, but they have like more money. That's the point, so that when we will impact a very small amount of people's income that already have too much in order to feed a lot more. Obviously, I think it's much more complicated than that, building up of proper socialist economy. But still, in this case, that's the point, that there's like 5 of them and they have as much money as 50 million people. Like, does he know how math works? Unironically, does he know how math works? Does he think that because there's only 5 and you tax them a bit more, how the fuck is that supposed to feed everybody else? Well, maybe because those 5 own as much as 50 million people. There's 171. I know, but even if there was 5, even if there was 2 billionaires in all of Britain, taxing them an additional, for example, even 10% would be equal to taxing 10 million people 100% of their income. If 5 guys, let's do some maths. If 5 guys make as much money as 5 million people, if you increase taxes by 10% on them and decrease taxes by 10% for 5 million people, how much would the actual amount of money the government coffers get change? They wouldn't change. You're just offloading it more to the billionaire. But what if now we kept the same taxes for those 5 million people, but we increased the taxes by 10% on those 5 billionaires that have as much money as 5 millionaires, as 5 million people? We would get taxes at a 10% rate worth of, for 5 million people, up by only taxing 5 people more. Big maths do the mathing. Thank you, Sig C. Thank you very much.
150.
Yeah, so tax them all. What do they pay? Yeah. Listen, I worked my tits off and I paid, it was 50% top rate of tax. 50% top rate of tax, plus national insurance, 60%.
So $1 million a year.
To bring my family out of poverty. At the same time, the Duke of Westminster inherited £10 billion and paid nothing. Do you think that's fair?
That's not true.
Okay, why is it not true?
Because the Duke of Westminster is one of the highest taxpayers in the country.
What does he pay?
Well, on the trust, the Grosvenor estate, they don't pay inheritance tax because trusts can't die. They pay something called periodic taxes.
Which is how much?
6% every 10 years.
6%, so they pay 0.6%
Just one
a year.
sec.
So I paid 60%.
0.6% every year. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this guy pays 0.6%.
Apples with apples, inheritance tax is 40% across the...
But just my point from earlier, just so you get the context, increasing taxes by 10% for 5 billionaires would be the same as increasing taxes by 10% for 5 million people on a relative average. If that doesn't make you understand just how fucking irrational it is to allow for parasites camouflaging themselves, wearing fucking skin suits, calling themselves human, that are the fucking billionaire class, I don't know what should.
The course of your life, if a trust is if a person lives who owns a trust for 7
level 7 fucking hype train. I didn't even see this, bitch. Why fucking Twitch, motherfucker, fucking Twitch, son of a bitch. We need to watch Chinese TikToks for fuck's sakes. Holy fuck. Level 7. Let's get that bitch to level 10. I'm not modest. What am I, a fucking liberal to be fucking modest? Fuck modesty, bro. Level 10. Let's fucking go. I'm going to treat you the way Empanada treats his fucking Oilers by screaming at you, basically. Let's go. Thank you, Cynical Chris. Fucking 35% off. Plus another 5 gift subs for every 10 for me, myself, and I. Yeah. Look, there's a fucking rat and there's a cat. I'm clicking on the cat and it's a picture. Son of a bitch. I am strangely aroused. If you're new here, as long as the hype train lasts, only short people lasts. If you don't last, only big people lasts. For as long as it lasts, we watch Chinese TikTok, basically. Thank you, Barry! It's another 5. It's another 5 for me! Because it's 10. Only best people lasts. Only tough people lasts. Nothing lasts, only tough people lasts. Level 8. And then the great snake! Another 5 fucking days. Thank you. Thank you, Snood. Thank you, Seafood Tony. This is chat always dangling a fucking level 10 in front of my fucking face, but we never fucking get there.
In the last quarter, look at the graphs. If you look at the projection, the sales projections, what's in the last quarter?
No, this is a different hashtag. I show speed, was it, right? But that doesn't have a search button. It has I show speed. Or was it a racial slur? But I was gonna say I show speed, but that's Japanese, so it doesn't count. And it's allowed to make fun of the anime people, okay? Thank you very much, Barry! Thank you very much, Sifu! Thank you very much, GG! For that fucking 98%, brother, 98%.
This is what China looks like.
Thank you, Barry, again.
Right, I ain't gonna cap. This looks fire.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I can't write poems. Refrigerator.
Oh my god, Chad. Oh my god, look at that city.
100%. 100% on the motherfucking Xi Jinping payroll, okay? The connection between Xi Jinping and the African American streamer class has always been strong.
A lot of people keep telling me I show speed is coming to China and he's coming to Chongqing. People say that I should meet him, I should translate for him. You know what? I know this guy is very interesting. He's African American kid. Everybody knows that I love African American people. I was made for this city. Nobody knows Chongqing better than I do. You know what? I probably should meet him. And we're gonna have some fun. I'm gonna show him around Chongqing. So
Stop Touring News! Welcome in, Raiders. Thank you very much, Touring News, for the raid. Everybody go check out Touring News. Thank you very, very, very much. And welcome, Raiders. I hope you had a lovely stream. We are currently doing a hype train. And during a hype train, we watch Chinese TikToks and I scream. I scream very loud. And I make people gift sub. Like Barry Balls! Barry Balls, single-handedly, literally carrying this fucking channel. Thank you, Barry Balls, for being my sugar daddy. Thank you very much, Barry! And because he gave 20, what does that mean, motherfucker? That means I gotta give another 10. Gotta give another 10 because we don't believe in money here. We don't believe in money, we only believe in the destruction of advertising! Destruction! Destruction! Level 10, baby! Thank you, Barry. I want everybody in chat saying Barry, 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 Barry. Come on, let me hear you. Barry, Barry, Barry. Let's go. Yes, yes. Barry, 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 Barry. Fuck yeah, Barry. Thank you, Barry, you motherfucker. You see how my Oilers get treated up in this bitch? Yes! I'm on that fucking, I'm on that level 10 high, baby.
What's this?
This is sparkling water.
Thank you.
And this matches your outfit a lot.
Yeah.
It's a panda.
It's a panda sparkling water.
Yeah. Can we take a photo?
Sugar free?
Yeah. Can we take photos?
What is this called?
This is like a grapefruit.
Zero sugar?
Yeah. It's called
0 calories?
Yeah, 0 calories.
What?
Thank you, Comrade Jaeger, for the 13 months.
You a basketball master?
No master, it's a three baller.
You a street baller? Okay, I bet. Let me see something there. Let's go 1v1. First one to 3-point.
Never watched your stream before, but I love the energy. Welcome to the end of the line.
I'm Hitler's top guy.
I'm kidding, Jesus Christ. Yeah, today we're a bit extra. Today we're a bit extra because I'm sick, so I have to like overdo it. I have to hardcore overdo it, and yeah. Regulars know where that fucking quote is from, okay?
就算把小猫切开，它也绝不会告诉你的5件事。1，我半夜会频繁对你做生存确认，不是我想。Off your path created a Nexus event.
Balkan man, very young, only 27 years old. This literally looks like when some of my friends that still live in the hometown I left, when I'm like texting me, yo, what are you doing? Like, how's life? My hometown boy is literally this. Literally, 100% of my old friends. Thank you, City of the Damn. City of the goddamn, for the 3 months, brother. Also, eating a leek or onion raw is the best decision you'll ever make in your life. If you have a romantic partner, they will deeply hate you for it. But even the most mid-meal or mid-drink, with a nice little long fucking onion or garlic or whatever. Chop. Taste buds. Oh la la. Taste. Oh la la. It's very good. It's fucking really good. Is the pee smelly? No. I mean, your pee isn't smelly? Mine tastes like rainbow. How do you know what your pee tastes like? But no, it's a mouth. Your mouth. You will smell for like eat a loaf of garlic. My dad always called it Polish breath mint. Yeah, I can absolutely see it. Like, you want to know how it smells right now in my mask? I mean, you can't see it. Tell me how it smells to you. It smells like a Polish breath mint. Just ate pasta and two whole fucking lines. 2 lines. Very nice pasta. Feta cheese on the side because it wasn't salty enough. So feta cheese on the side. A nice like tomato pasta with pork, I think. And then just 2 of those big boys on the side, brother, on the side. This whole room's gonna smell like it's a fucking Polish wedding afterwards. Okay. Level 10, thank you very much. 600 bits. 71 subs. And I am relatively satisfied, I must say. Thank you to everybody, especially Barry. There was a lovely train you just all rode on me. Wait, I don't think that means what I just said it means. Shit. Okay. We will all pretend I did not say that.
Years, then 6% times 7 would be 42. So they actually pay more. So if a trust is if a person lives who owns a trust for 70 years, then 6% times 7 would be 42. So they actually pay more.
So he pays 0.6% a year. You're telling me 0.6%.
I feel like if you just do the dental hygiene and brush teeth afterwards, it's not bad. It's not as bad, but you can still feel it because with onions and garlic, it's so intense that it's smelling from your belly. It's smelling from your intestine, right? It's slowly moving up your entire intestine and out your mouth. So it's not specifically the mouth. Sure, it's great when you wash your teeth, but it's coming all the way from down there. So it can sometimes only tough people lasts, only strong people lasts. It can sometimes only lasts for like up to 12 hours. I've eaten and then gone to bed. I've eaten, and then go to bed and just wake up with a look. What the fuck? And my girlfriend is straight, like, right across me, the living room right now. The fucking living room. I woke up and I felt like I'm in a fucking swine yard in the fucking living room. I'm like, okay. Yes, domestic violence is allowed in my household. So, like, I eat it. I sleep. Like, 7 hours later, she wakes up and it's just, like, all over the room because it's coming out of the stomach. Poor girlfriend! She's hitting me in the face! poor girl, she is the one punching me in the face. This is sexism, okay? I am doing why I left the left, and this is the fucking reason. This is going to be the reason. You are looking at the next pinnacle of the fucking manosphere, okay? You're looking at the next big fucking trader. I'm going to Kautsky the feminist movement, motherfucker.
But that would be the same as...
She's defending herself. Man's rights to eat onions and fart, motherfucker. Right to hit. I thought you meant your own breath was hitting you in your head. No, I wake up. I open my eyes from a hit. Like, tuck. And I open my eyes. And she's right there laying like this and going. Tuck, tuck. And I'm like, what? She goes again. Like, she sees I'm awakened. Or she sees I'm awake. Bah! Like, right on the forehead. I'm like, what? And she's like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out right now. Get the fuck out. Everything smells like a fucking... It's like, okay, bro. I just ate some onions, bro. Chill the fuck out.
What percent did I pay per year?
No, but that's...
60%.
Hold up.
So you're saying I pay, what, 60 over 0.6?
No.
100 times the tax rate.
You're not comparing apples with apples.
Wait, why is it not apples with apples? This guy pays 0.6% a year. I paid 60% a year.
That's inheritance tax.
I paid that 60% every year, Daniel. Every year I paid it.
You're paying income tax.
So why have I...
I mean, do you actually want 0% tax? Then support a worker-owned, socialized economy. There's nobody to tax when the workers own it all. But jokes aside, like long-term communists want 0% tax. Like we want 0% tax because like there's no reason to balance out the economy in order to feed the socialized healthcare system and infrastructure and everything and so on. Like it's unironically, you think socialist states have fucking taxes? Yo, Robo. No worries, Robo. We started literally 28 minutes ago.
The Duke of Westminster pays income tax. The Duke of Westminster pays income tax. He probably makes your bill blush.
Yeah, you think he pays income tax?
Yeah, well, if he's going to live, he has to withdraw money to have his income. He also, let me give you a list of all the taxes he would pay. He'd pay income tax, corporate tax. He'd pay stamp duty when he buys a building. He pays
oh my God, we gotta really think about our guy when he buys a building. How much stem, whatever the fuck this guy just said, pays. What is the argument here? I want to hear the actual argument.
Any of the other taxes, VAT when he spends money. All the same taxes apply to a duke as they apply to anybody else.
So you think he pays income tax on the income on that?
Any income he draws.
Okay, well our viewers can research whether he pays income tax on his income. Because I don't think he does.
I mean, how could he not?
It's in a trust.
But the only difference with a trust versus income is that the trust pays periodic tax versus inheritance tax.
At 0.6%.
But we're only talking inheritance. That's just one type.
If you don't want to pay property tax, go to China, bro. No property tax there, motherfucker. There we go. It's too heavy.
Tax.
So you think he's paying 60% on his income?
He's one of the
Take your sins left over the domain. We must think of the rich people, the fucking some people's kids.
Oh my God. Wait. It's too good.
Oh man, we must think of the rich people. Fucking some people's kids. Rich people. They all fuck kids.
Highest taxpayers in the UK. I'm not like his big fan. The truth is, he's one of the highest taxpayers in the UK. He's one of the biggest employers in the UK. He's one of the
biggest landowners in the UK.
Landowners in the UK, right? So the issue is does he pay tax? All the same.
Hear me out. You go, man. I'm pausing Nabi today hardcore. 30-minute stream. We are in the 4 minutes and 33 seconds of the fucking video. I don't give a shit. Hear me out, Yugo. Onion flavored zins. But they have to be strong, though. They always have to be very strong. I was doing complex mathematics. Because if you put something in your mouth that tastes like raw onion, and it's not immediately making your whole mouth sweat, It will confuse the brain and you will feel sick. So if we make a garlic or onion tasting zin, it's a great idea, but it needs to immediately make the mouth burn. The whole mouth must go, right! Okay? It must go, right! And then it's going to work. Otherwise, it's going to make you feel very vomity.
Same taxes that apply to you apply to him. And if you want to set up a trust, you can also pay periodic taxes as well, which would be on top of all the other taxes.
So what would you say?
But it's just not true that he doesn't pay tax.
No, what would you say? This guy, he's inherited £10 billion. So he's worth £10 billion. What would you say will be the total amount of tax he will pay in his lifetime?
Well, I know that just the smallest...
If I make £10 billion, I'm paying 60%.
Just one sec. You're talking about income versus the transfer of an estate.
So why is it that the Duke of Westminster can be worth £10 billion?
You're comparing your income.
The guy is like for emotional support. I think the third guy is... what was the name of that fucking android dude? And don't come after me with fucking ableism now. The fucking android guy. I don't give a shit. He's a fucking sitting there big. Lex Friedman. Yes. Lex Friedman, okay? He's the British Lex Friedman, this biracial chap over here.
Yeah.
Versus the amount he inherited, which is not a fair thing. That's not income.
Because that's his income.
Inheritance is not income.
So wait. So if I get given £10 billion, I don't pay any tax. But if I work for £10 billion...
Not Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking wasn't the android guy. Fuck you. No, what the fuck? That would be ableism, okay? That would be ableism as shit. No. I'm talking about the fucking
guy that's like, I love talking to like the very wealthy people about very smart things that they believe in. Should Israel receive $500 billion, please?
I pay 60%.
If you inherit
this is the tax system that you want, you will end up in a... Wait.
Yeah, Lex. Yeah,
so if I
Lex.
get given £10 billion, I don't pay any tax. But if I work for £10 billion, I pay 60%.
If you inherit
this is the tax system that you want, you will end up in a system where the kids of the rich will own everything.
I'm just saying
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And that's fine because that's our kids.
You're not telling the truth about his
Let's support it. Let's have a tax system where your kids and my kids and Stephen's kids are multimillionaires and these guys out there can't afford to feed their kids and put the heat in.
That's not what I'm saying.
But that's what you will get.
That's not what I'm saying.
That is what you will get. Listen. That's what I'm betting on. That's fine because I'll make money in the markets. It's fine. And you'll make money and you'll make money. It's our viewers who will be poor. And that's fine. That's fine. It's fine for us.
Let's explore the other alternative, right? So
this, gentlemen, ladies, and my beautiful, beautiful NBs is the mass line to an extent, okay? He's massively over generalizing. He's massively oversimplifying. Does it matter? No, it fucking does not. The right has played the us or them rhetoric for far too fucking long. Militant, aggressive narratives about how it is unironically either us, regular working people, or these wealthy parasitic fucking worms will also work for a very, very large part of the population, both because it fucking hits like a fucking rock, but secondly because it's true, okay? Because it's true. Sure, us as Marxists, we should never do in-group, out-group class analysis, material conditions. It's not the bourgeois that is evil. It is what he represents in the class relation, etc., etc. I agree. Simplistic to an extent, even in the long term, it is also the bourgeois who suffers alienation. The market isn't human. I make these pitches all the time. But to one particular type of people like you beautiful smart chatters. But other people want to feel ooga booga, bro. Other people want to go munka munka. And on munka munka, you tell them this fucking rich fucking piece of shit is fucking taking everything you fucking have. Are you going to let him walk all over you little fucking bitch? We're going to do something about it, okay? On some people that works. And Gary right here is doing it really fucking good, bro. It's good doing that specific pitch. Look, we're sitting here in this studio and we're smirking. We're talking about the money that our fucking kids are going to inherit. And you're over there sitting in your fucking cramped up garage ass fucking apartment listening to this and be like, hey. While we are literally talking about how to carve up whatever you have left. Get that fucking blood boiling. I love it. A great type of the part of the funnel.
Let's say tax the rich, right? So let's play the game of tax
Emotion. Fucking hit it. Fucking hit it. Scumbag left. Let's fucking go, bro.
the rich.
Tax the owners, not the workers.
Yeah. So
the owners.
So
the owners.
So the issue that we have with the rich is that the number
I'm
one.
in a clean room, actually. I'm not talking to you fuckers. I'm talking to whoever, whoever watches The Diary of a CEO, okay? If you are a regular listener to a show called The Diary of a CEO, your room is never clean, okay? Your room is never clean.
One most valuable assets in the economy now are intangible assets. So there's this chart called the S&P. So the issue that we have with the rich is that the number one most valuable assets in the economy now are intangible assets. So
Oh my God, is he really gonna do it? They're not really cash rich. They don't own all that stuff. All that stuff is in assets and processes and companies and people's salaries and stocks. They don't actually walk around with a massive wad full of fucking billions and billions of dollars. He would be picking a very wrong target here. Like, this works on a fucking layman, on a fucking dumb fucking cretin that just exited the fucking cave system for the first time and is seeing the light, that listens to something like The Diary of a CEO, okay? Not my guy over here. My guy over here fucking murders.
There's this chart called the S&P 500
Oh, yeah,
of
yeah.
the 500 richest countries in the world.
There's this thing called the S&P 500. Exactly what is the scumbag left? I don't fully understand it. We are trying to develop here in my chat the scumbag left, which is what I was talking about previously. Sure, argue with logic, argue with dialectical materialism, try to explain, etc., etc. But us in the scumbag left should also focus on pure raw emotion. People feel alienated, and you can utilize that alienation to introduce them to class consciousness, also through anger, through further disenfranchisement, through showing them a fucking target and saying fucking throw a rock at it, right? You don't always have to explain how the class system works. You can sometimes also use us versus them rhetoric in order to inspire more progressive thinking. That's only a small aspect of it. For example, Yugopnik, bro looks like he's about to discover the Americas with how much wins he's catching in those years. There you go. Or bullying. Bullying is a completely acceptable methodology in the scumbag left. Hyper masculinity, but directed at people that exhibit toxic masculinity, also exceptionally acceptable. Like, if you're being toxically masculine, we out toxically masculine you. But now, not by talking shit about women, but about literally telling you that we will smash your fucking head into the fucking ground. You little bitch, shut the fuck up, stop talking. That type of shit, okay? No longer nice boy.
In the US, sorry. In 1970s,
They could call him like a Tom. Semper scumbag. Semper scumbag.
I love that. Thank you very much for the sub.
75% of the value of the
I can only bring myself to bully shots. That's what I'm saying, my dear friend. That's the point.
S&P 500 was physical assets like property.
My favorite is doing insane levels of racism against racist white people. That's, for example, what Hakeem does like a fucking king. He is, unironically, the most racist man that I've ever met. If he was white, that would be super unhinged. But he focuses it only, and obviously jokes around with it, like he's not taking it seriously. But in order for a white person to understand just how racist they are, he does crazy racism on him, and then that person is like, wait, am I doing this to other people? And then they chill the fuck out. That's the scumbag left, bruh. Thank you, Calm Like a Fucking Tom! Calm Like a Tom is not that calm because he's throwing fucking subs fucking my way. And he's another 5 thanks to Calm Like a Tom. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. We are very far away from that 2,000 subs. We're not reaching that shit,
But we might as well try and get very close, brothers. Try and get as close as possible, brothers. Otherwise, the ads might come back and I'm going to hate myself. Like the ad that's going to play in exactly 3 minutes. Fuck ads, become a sub. Gift subs for every 10 gift subs, they give it under 5. This is the Balkan scheme that we're playing here on Twitch. The only place on Twitch where we do this.
Thank you. The ad plays in 3 minutes.
And today it's less than 10%. People have assets in the economy now with the rich.
Not the workers.
Yeah. So
the owners.
So
the owners.
So the issue that we have with the rich is that the number one most valuable assets
Thank you, Kalam. Kalam, thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much, Kalam.
in the economy now are intangible assets. So there's this chart called the S&P 500 of the 500 richest countries in the world, in the US, sorry.
Thank you, not Christian. Definitely not a Christian. Bale fan.
In 1970s, 75% of the value of the S&P 500 was physical assets like property. And today it's less than 10%. It's closer to 5%.
So you think that housing is not...
Okay, so they moved into stocks. What is that an argument for?
And today it's less than 10%. It's closer to 5%.
So you think that housing is not particularly important?
Just let's stick with what I'm saying.
Okay.
The powerhouse, the engine room of the economy is digital assets.
The way how I'm understanding it is that the scumbag left is basically the guard dogs of mutual aid and theory nerd leftists. I can make it much simpler, Jesus. The scumbag left says treat liberals and conservatives the same way you would treat an open fascist. That's it.
And that's reflected in
that's the scumbag left.
The S&P 500, for example, which is 95% intangible assets. One of the issues that we have is that the richest people are completely mobile now. So they can be absolutely anywhere in the world. So if you come up with this idea of let's tax richest people...
Okay, so the argument that wealthy people have moved most of their asset ownership away from property into more what we could define as digital assets or digital industries, etc., that allows them to move around a lot freer, which allows them to evade taxes a lot more. Okay, that might be true. Okay, but what is the conclusion that you're driving that to? Thank you, Pizza Famine! Jebem ti mater, Pizza Famine! Koj kurac, brate! There's definitely no fucking famines, but a lot of fucking pizzas where you're at, brother. For you giving me that beautiful, beautiful fucking subscription sound, baby. Thank you, baby. Oh my God, I love you, baby. Here's another 5 for me, myself, and I. Because I love money, but I hate ads more. But okay, so he's like, okay, now they can move more. That is why they're moving more and more money out of the country. So probably he's going to make an argument. How do we keep them in the country? And as he previously stated, probably the argument is going to be we should tax them less. We should tax them less than the places where they're going in order to keep their money here. But isn't the whole point to keep as much money here as possible? So if you tax them so little that you're not really gaining anything substantial as compared to the 0% you will get if they leave, what are you achieving? I would suggest maybe make it fucking illegal to launder fucking money. I don't fucking know.
People 1%. If a tiny proportion of them leave, we're all in trouble. So
the problem with that is that all digital assets are based in physical assets. Also, capital flight is a myth. True, but so-called digital assets, etc., more often than not, even more raw forms of human labor and human capital, as capitalists would call it. What do I mean by this? Very often when somebody says, okay, people have invested a lot of money in a digital asset, that they're talking about servers or a particular IBM machine or whatever. But a digital asset is, for example, a digital marketing company. A digital marketing company is literally the 40 guys that operate, that do the ads for different clients on it. If you own the company, you basically own those 20 guys and you leech off of their labor. This is now you owning a particular agency. But when we're talking about, most of your assets, for example, being in stocks, I have so much stocks in Apple and IBM and Tesla and etc., then it is quite literally in the cloud. But yes, the cloud is also very physical. So... But none of this is a necessary conversation. If you are avoiding tax, you should go to jail. It's as simple as that.
Really rich guys, what do they own?
Companies.
And why are those companies worth money?
Because investors say they are.
And where do the revenues come from?
Globally.
Okay.
The issue is that these companies operate globally now.
So if I'm a billionaire...
Take my company, for example.
Yeah.
My company has 8,000 customers in 150 countries.
Okay.
We could be anywhere. If you push a button...
What country is your biggest single revenue source?
Probably the US now.
Let's say you move to Cayman Islands and the US says we're going to tax your revenue at point of sale. What can you do?
Well, that's different, right? Because that's not taxing billionaires, that's taxing companies. You see, when you say tax the rich on their wealth, that's different to saying tax companies a consumption tax.
Oh, but you just said the rich own companies. You said that's what they own.
Yeah, but you're saying, how do you tax them, right? So do you tax their wealth, which is what they own, or do you tax the companies where they trade? Typically, consumption taxes get passed on to consumers.
Oh, it's not a consumption tax, it's the tax on the ownership.
Yeah, but if you simply say, when you're doing revenues, then that's a consumption tax.
If we start to tax the profits of companies...
By the way, I'm not exactly against you on companies. I think it's disgusting that a British company can take out a Facebook ad to sell to a British consumer a British product, and Facebook pretends to be in Ireland on that transaction. And Amazon, you can buy something on Amazon in Britain from a British supplier from a British warehouse, and Amazon pretends to be in Luxembourg in that situation. And that sucks, right? Like that does not seem fair, and it strikes me as very strange that the government is okay with that. Right now, the government is chasing down mums and dads who sell a few things on eBay and chasing them for taxes, but they don't talk to eBay. They're paranoid about someone doing a little bit of a side hustle on Facebook, but Facebook's fine to pretend to be in Ireland. So I don't agree with all of that, right? Like, I think we're missing some serious tricks here. But the idea with taxing billionaires at wealth, billionaires will just leave. They just get up and leave. And not just billionaires.
To an extent, that is the point, not of them to leave, but to be taxed out of existence. That's, the classic reformist attitude towards the head of the parasite, which is the capitalist class, blah, 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 blah. But you don't care, with billionaires specifically, you can get them if you want to, so incredibly easily for tax avoidance, because you don't need to put in a lot of resources to catch them. There's like a couple of 100 billionaires. In most normal-sized countries, there's like 50 or 20 or 10. Small countries, there's like 3. But in the UK, for example, there's 177 billionaires, somebody said in chat, right? In the UK, there's 177 billionaires. When a British billionaire who's been living in Britain, doing business in Britain for their entire life, all of a sudden now moves to a foreign state and just starts paying taxes there and stops paying taxes domestically, everyone will notice, right? Absolutely everyone will notice. So you just then make a task force of taxation administrators that litigate him to fucking oblivion. It is the British state versus this particular billionaire. It's not like, the tens of thousands of millionaires that exist and the millions of people, tens of millions of people that are trying to do this or that form of tax evasion, etc., both intentionally and unintentionally, because you have to follow them. Strictly speaking, logistically, and now speaking as a reformist, not even as a, more hardcore commie like myself, just as a reformist, it would unironically be not that difficult to create a task force the way we have task force for sexual violence, for serial killers, for fucking child services or whatever. Just a service dedicated to reminding every single person who gets so wealthy that they become a billionaire that they will not be able to leave the country, or else all their assets domestically will be seized. You want me to go more reformist head on this? Then you start signing treaties between countries, and you start quite literally saying countries that are not signing treaties that they will not accept billionaires migrating to their country as a form of tax avoidance. We will sanction the living fucking shit out of you. So literally every country that is a tax haven becomes a rogue state that will have the living shit out of them, sanctioned out of them, right? classify harboring tax evading billionaires is the same category as moving money for people that are defined as terrorist organizations. Again, still reformist head here. We're not talking about destroying capitalism. We're talking about inside of the capitalist structure attempting to completely remove the idea that anybody can be a billionaire. Then once you've established that infrastructure, domestically start quite literally committing mass financial murder by taxing them out of existence, bankrupt the shit out of them. Like literally, like once they cannot leave anywhere, yes, you got all the rats in the corner, take out the gas. The EU has done some of this shit, not enough by the beginning. Yeah. And that's good. That's good. I'll take what I can have where I can get it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but do these people think that a 15% tax rate is taking 50% of the person's entire wealth? Not just 15% of what they made this year alone? I don't know, man. I don't think that they're fully on the same page with the rest of us. Fuck, I'm so hard listening to this right now. But yeah, like unironically, there's so many systems that can be utilized if you want to hyper focus on just eliminating billionaires as a concept. Including, like, I always harp on just how small of a number they are. It would be so easy to create, what did somebody say? There's 1,100 billionaires. To create 1,100 specialized teams that will each work on an individual billionaire in order to make sure that they are no longer a billionaire. If countries actually wanted to do this, it would be doable without having to rid ourselves of the glorious market economy or whatever. But of course, we don't do that because the billionaires owe the fucking countries. Sometimes they are literally in government. Assign them to something like Interpol. Yeah, make a billionaire hunter Interpol. There you go. Great Hollywood movie idea. Getting rid of billionaires is one part of it, but there also needs to be government institutions that can allocate money properly to social welfare programs, education, and clean energy. My friend, yeah, that's why we're fucking around. Like, this is just hyper focusing on billionaires is a massive oversimplification. But even when we are taking that oversimplification at face value and fully addressing it, we can realize that even inside of the current capitalist model, institutions can be created to, for example, not stop people from becoming ridiculously wealthy or from exploiting, of one class exploiting another class, etc., etc. But if we want to focus on billionaires, we could eradicate billionaires. I think this is a incredibly middle of the road, incredibly lukewarm type of approach, because being a billionaire is absolutely insane, and there should not even be a concept that the human can think of. The rich is just a symbol for corruption. The rich is just a symbol for what the current system stimulates and what it rewards. What it holds is the highest value to which societies must aspire to, the profit motive. I mean, billionaires are also being played by the market economy. It's a fucking algorithm that is no longer human and contains absolutely no soul, which drives us down a cliff that we will never be able to recover from. And it's ironically also utilizing the greatest elements of our species, traders, the billionaires, in order to fully milk our beautiful planet and our labor dry. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, we're fucking communists here. We're talking about that we want, class to be abolished. But even, again, to repeat myself for the last time, even if we strip it all back and go all the way back and just want to talk about billionaires, there's so many fucking mechanisms that can be utilized to do so, to strip us of billionaires.
But what do billionaires own? What do billionaires own?
Companies.
And where do companies get their money from?
Revenues.
And where do the revenues come from?
purchasing.
Like we treat hoarding as a mental illness. Or like we treat, if you walk into a place and you shoot 50 people, you're classified as a terrorist and you are given either life in prison or death. And everybody who wants to collaborate with you is deemed enemy of every state on the planet and cannot be touched, right? Well, what if I tell you that you have more than $1 billion, probably statistically, just by accumulating them, you've killed at least a couple of thousand people. Therefore, the conclusion is to be a billionaire is to have caused the direct death of at least a couple of thousand people. Therefore, every billionaire should be classified as a mass killer. Therefore, should be classified as a terrorist organization and against all charters of human dignity, and therefore should have a whole task force fully dedicated to hunting them down and financially cutting them off, if not worse. Yeah, like it's the billionaire is such an easy fucking target. That's why it works very often. Like in popular circles, I fuck with it. It just I'm drunk, hi Hugo. Hi drunk, I'm Hugo.
People purchase.
And where do those people live?
All over the world.
We can tax them at that point.
Well, that's consumption tax.
This is the thing.
That's a consumption tax.
No, it's not. It's
the VAT is a tax on revenue.
Tax these guys on profits based on where the revenues come from.
So it's very easy to move profits internationally. See, Stephen.
Thank you, Estanjo.
For research on all the ways to get rid of billionaires. Absolutely. Thank you for the 6 months, my friend. Thank you very much. If you want to be like Estanjo and support this show, please consider becoming a sub for $6 a month, or for free through Prime, or less in certain countries, or by gifting to your fellow chatters. And for every 10 barrels of oil, I shall oil you back with another 5. That means 10 gift subs equals 5. And now it's 35% discount. So basically gift subs cost on YugopnikTwitch like they're 60% discounted, 65% discounted. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Thank you, Lazy K.
There you go. Just like Lazy K. You see, Lazy K now did a 35% discount to get the 10, but now I'm going to give another 5, which means what? Okay. They got 15 for the price of 6.5. So yes, that is a 60 to 70% discount. On other channels, it's 35. Here, it's basically 60 to 70.
Thank you, Barry Balls. Thank you very much, Kamrav.
Wonderful, a new child soldier.
The guy's entire argument is, thank you, Barry, very much. I love you. Tax billionaires because they'll go to another country instead of, that's his whole argument. But unfortunately, his solution to this isn't we should litigate them out of existence because they are literally doing tax avoidance, and it will be very easy to realize they're doing so because there's so few of them. No, his solution is that we should tax them less in hopes that they stay. But I'm not even using historic argumentation here. Guess what we've been doing in most Western countries for the last fucking half a century. Exactly that. Out of fear of billionaires not fleeing, we've been lowering taxes. And guess what billionaires have regularly requested for the last fucking 50 years? For us to lower them even lower, or they're going to fucking leave, okay? We started with fucking FDR, fucking 90+% fucking taxes on these motherfuckers. And now we're slowly down to some of them not even paying 1%.
A new child soldier, subscriber.
Had a Starbucks cup. When he bought...
Yeah, just even that, with our thickest fucking liberal hat on, has shown not to work. Because the billionaire just realizes that he has far more negotiating power than anybody else. And then what does he do? He negotiates for an even lower percentage after a while. Let's fucking go, baby!
Fucking shit! Thank you very much, Materia354, for the 10 gift subs. Thank you very much, Ken. Thank you, Walter Witt. Thank you, Walter Witt, for the 5.
That makes it 15, which makes it very much like I need to give another 5, and then in another 5, I give another 5. Fantastic. Thank you very much, you beautiful piece of shit. Thank you very much.
Why is that Starbucks?
Yeah.
It's bought from a British company who licenses the Starbucks logo from Luxembourg or somewhere like that.
Materia, such a cool name because it's both like mother but also like matter. So nice. Wait, also mother and matter are very similar. I should call my mom.
So 15%.
Hi, Mum.
So here we are saying, we're going to tax their profits.
Yeah.
They say, I wish we were profitable. Sorry. Unfortunately, we had to do that licensing deal with that international corporation.
I know how profit shifting works. Okay, so are you telling me a company is selling to the UK, the US, enormous amount of profit in the US, and they turn around and say, actually, our profit's not in the US. You think the US is incapable of going and looking if that's seeing where the profit is?
I'm not saying that you can't do this. I'm saying that the benefits of doing it, it's so hard to tax wealth, for example, or it's so hard to tax millionaires and billionaires that you end up cutting off your nose to spite your face. For every... Like, if we create Britain, for example...
But that is from Final Fantasy VII. That's cool. But they probably got it from, literally, the Latin / I don't know. It's also Slavic word for matter.
And we build a brand which is that we're anti-wealth. We don't want you to ever have more than 10 million. If you've got more than 10 million, we punish you. Every young entrepreneur who comes to me and says, Dan, do you think I should start a company here in this country? I'm going to say, well, if you do... they'll take it as soon as you start to make it. They'll take it as soon as if you're successful. If you get investment, they're going to tax you your wealth. If you sell the company, they're going to take it off you. I'm going to basically say to that young entrepreneur, don't build your business in Britain. Go start it somewhere that they're more proactive and positive towards entrepreneurs.
Are we seeing that now with
proactive and positive? What does that mean? That means they absolutely don't tax them and let them do whatever the fuck they want in the domestic economy. And can we then talk about what that does to the domestic economy of that particular place where they go? Okay, you know which countries were super proactive and chill about you coming in and opening your entrepreneurial dream? Places like Sri Lanka, and they were like, yeah, you can come over and you can have fucking sweatshops and we'll pay our fucking people 0.01 cents. Just pay the local commissioner over here some fucking cash and we'll be good. I mean, that's the reason I'm bringing that up is that's the end point of this sort of thinking. You should leave a particular market when it comes to where you base your base of operations in on how welcoming and how stimulating the local government is going to be to your operation, which then stimulates governments to start comparing amongst each other on which is the least regulated, which then on a global scale further deregulates almost every state. Get it? Like it's systemic. If states operate on a market level amongst each other, and the product of this market is more so-called entrepreneurs that they want to keep, long term, that is just going to lower the average global tax rate for very wealthy people. So we are back at our starting point, which is that wealthy people will end up always paying a lot less because they just have more cards in the same game of poker that you're playing. Resources are a thing, god fucking damn it. The only kind of thing in neoliberal capitalism that we have against their resources are fucking reforms, right? Are specific laws. And his argument in defeating the ever-growing power of the super wealthy is by giving up the few things that we have that can protect our current standards. Tell me how that makes sense in any pattern of logic except one that is incredibly subjective and one that values ownership, starting a business, being a quote-unquote entrepreneur over that of workers, which is that what he is. Okay? Freud was right. You all want to fuck your mom and your dad. And Marx was right. It's always material conditions and class subjectivity. Okay? Which is what this is. I'm saying he wants to fuck his dad. Right? I'm testing you, chat. Are you listening to this lesson? No, I'm saying that he has class subjectivity. So he looks like a nice guy. He actually looks like a chill dude, right? He's trying to find solutions. He's entering these types of conversations with people that are putting him on the spot, right? But he cannot get over his class subjectivity. He cannot get over ideology, okay? Because if he was to do so, he would have to question his very identity, which is so deeply wrapped in his class relations of being la business ownero. On there. He doesn't care. That's what I mean. I think he does care. He just wants to both be the problem and be the problem solver. But his dad is too hot to see beyond his class relations. Yeah. Everybody go check out Malteser if you haven't followed. Please do so. Dear friend of the show that is in chat right now. Everybody say hi. But the big problem with reforms is that even if we were to implement these kinds of reforms, they will eventually be withered away under IMF influence or under different crises. I agree, brother, absolutely. Right now we have our reform hat on, and we're engaging in this type of discussion because it's fun and interesting. And we can maybe learn a little bit more about how capitalism functions as well. But absolutely, great point. I agree. Did I look like a reformist to you, chat? But still, it's relevant.
Go start at somewhere that they're more proactive and positive towards entrepreneurs.
Are we seeing that now with this, they call it the millionaire exodus, which is, for people that don't know, the UK is set to lose the greatest proportion of millionaires in the world this parliament. I'll put a graph on the screen, which is this one here. And that little red line here is us losing all of our millionaires at the moment. And in 2024, it's estimated that 10,800 high net worth individuals left the UK, which is a 157% increase from the previous year, which means that 1 millionaire is departing every 45 minutes. The UK millionaire exodus is equal to losing 530,000 average taxpayers. And another stat, the top 10% of earners in the US account for nearly half of all consumer spending. The top 1% of income taxpayers in the UK are projected to contribute about 30% of total income tax from 2024 to 2025.
Okay, so there's a direct pattern between high income brackets and people switching the place where they want to pay tax. That's what it is. And you found a general pattern in your country where that is happening. You know, when you find a general pattern of, in this particular neighborhood, there's somebody running around stabbing people, you're like, we need to police this neighborhood a little bit more and find the stabber guy. The peanut snipper guy. Okay? So if you find a pattern that you have a massive exodus of very wealthy people, that pattern should tell you that these criminals have found a way to launder money out of the country for enterprises that they've built utilizing the infrastructure of the taxpayer who now wants a return on their motherfucking investment. Okay? So, in the name of Bombardilo Crocodilo, just fucking arrest them. Seize assets. Knock on doors. Make me like cops again, bro. Okay? Labor, aren't you in power, bro? You have such a 10,000 millionaires a year that you can paint as the big bad. Holy shit, that you can paint as the traitor class. Oh my God. The things I would do with this. Oh Lord. The fires would not cease for months. I'm getting fucking horny even thinking about it. But no. Exactly, Iraqi Marxist. That's authoritarian. Holy shit! They know they see a pattern of a bunch of of tens of thousands of relatively wealthy and very wealthy people avoiding tax, and they're like, oh, the best I can do is give you another knife, peener snipper guy. But no, peener snipper guy, don't snip my peener. I will not snip your peener if you let me snip your butt.
Okay, Peter Snipper guy, you can snip my butt, said the butt-snipped guy.
Why are all these millionaires running away?
Well, it's not because they're taxing their wealth, because we don't have any wealth taxes.
Why do you think they're leaving? From 2024 to 2025, why are all these millionaires running away?
Well, it's not because they're taxing their wealth, because we don't have any wealth taxes.
Why do you think they're leaving?
I think the reason they're leaving is because the UK economy is really, really weak. Because the UK consumer is really, really weak. Because we've absolutely crushed the spending power of your average British family.
And where are they
going? Your average
going?
British family can barely afford to feed the kids and turn the heating on. So why are you going to start a business here when the customers are absolutely impoverished?
Look, it corresponds with a new tax that we brought in, which was we ended the non-dom scheme. So the non-dom scheme basically said if you're living in the UK...
Do not touch my fucking doms, okay? I love my doms. I love my subs. I love my verses. Is that horny people in chat? Verse was when you can do both, right? I know verse in the context of sexy, but not when it comes to dominatrix stuff. So sub and dom you can do verse. Switch, but no, switch is different. Wasn't switch different? Wasn't. I thought switch was versus both. There you go. And switch is to be able to switch. Switch is for the gays. Okay, there you go. There's so many gays in chat. I love you. I love my gays. My beautiful, my beautiful boaters. My beautiful. Switch is for BDSM. Switch is for BDSM. Okay. Thank you. I trust Anne, whatever Anne tells me. Anne, I didn't know you were in those waters. Oh.
Okay, but you've got businesses all over the world. Then we only tax you on what you've got in the UK. And if you die in the UK, we'll only tax you on your UK assets for inheritance tax if you're a non-dom. But if you die in the UK and you've got wealth in India...
But what if I die in the UK and I'm a switch? Because if I'm a non-dom, that does not mean... Not all non-doms are switches, but all switches are non-doms.
Once that non-dom scheme ended, they basically said, we will tax you on everything globally. If you're if you're a tax resident in the UK, everything you've got globally, we want 40% of it. So unfortunately, every wealth manager contacted their clients and said, you can't stay here. You're going to have to get out.
I didn't listen.
But if you die in the UK and you've got wealth in India, once that non-dom scheme ended, they basically said, we will tax you on everything globally. If you're if you're a tax resident in the UK, everything you've got globally, we want 40% of it. So unfortunately, every wealth manager contacted their...
Jesus Christ. Okay, it's... whoa, UK. But does that only apply to UK citizens or everyone? Because I don't know. You can't, meddle in other people's fucking budgets if they're from abroad, in this manner at least.
Clients and said you can't.
He was actually looking at my messages and agreeing with it. Oh my God, this is the second coming of Marx. And I agree with a lot of your posts, bro.
Can't stay here. You're going to have to get out. It's gotten really bad. 1,000 people a month are leaving, and in the UK, 1% of people pay 30% of the taxes, 10% of people pay 60% of the taxes. And you imagine if we're sitting out at dinner and there's 10 of us out to dinner and one person says, hey, I've got this, I'll get 60% of the bill tonight. We say to them, no, it should be 70%, it should be 80%. And they say, you know what, I'll get up and leave. So they leave, everyone else's bill just doubled. So what's going to happen is if we drive the millionaires out of this country,
Okay, you want me to change that allegory? So 10 people sit at a table, and one of them pays for 60% of the meal, but all the money that he has in order to pay for the meal is because he robbed 90% of the money that all the other 9 people at the table had. Okay? The other 9 people at the table work for him, and he pays them 10% of what they make him. So he steals 90% of their money, and then he complains that he has to cover 60% of the check. That's a better allegory. You bitch-ass fucking dragon-ass looking fucking ear motherfucker. Fucking if an elf lacked a fucking chromosome looking ass.
Every ordinary normal person who pays 10 grand a year in tax will now have to pay 20 grand a year in tax.
So the reason they left is because we used to allow them to not pay tax. And
on their global incomes, on their global
So isn't
businesses.
it a bit more like if we were 10 of us at dinner and there was one guy who came to dinner on the condition he wouldn't pay, then leaves? Because these guys weren't paying tax anyway. If the reason they left is because they weren't paying tax.
It's like saying...
No, the reason they have money is because, okay, maybe not the 9 people on the table, but at least 6 people on the table worked their asses off in order for him to have that much money. But the way the system works is he gets to legally keep a very big chunk of their money and decide how much they make. So those guys are like, at least he's going to buy us dinner from time to time to make up for the money that he's taken away. That's the tax system. We're all getting ripped off in capitalism, but we're going to placate ourselves because the super wealthy that are fucking us over are going to take a small part of that money and put it back in the system, and maybe we'll all don't starve to death. And then those very same people question the system that's created in order to placate the masses, so we don't go out in the fucking streets and quite literally take every single fucking one of you and... Like, don't they understand this? Taxes are here to keep us away from them. Taxes are saving billionaires' lives more than anything else. More than anything else. It's the last fucking barrier, the last promise that, like, you get fucking railed every fucking day. They're fucking just railed, okay? Railed. But at least society somewhat functions because it's upkept by these taxes that these super wealthy people are paying. And if they don't pay it, then we won't get the infrastructure. We'll just get the railing. And then we will fucking rail back. Oh, and not just rail. Fucking trust me.
It's like saying, oh, hey, I'll pay 60% of this table, and they say at the table, hey, wait a second, we also want you to pay for everything that's happening at other restaurants as well.
Isn't it a bit more like these guys
and we're stretching
were
the
here
analogy
on a condition? You yourself said
no, you're 100%
the
right.
reason why they left is because we let them live here on the condition that they didn't have to pay taxes.
On their global, taxes matter, right? So why is everyone going to Dubai? Dubai, they're going there because there's no tax.
These guys, they live in Dubai, their money comes from the West. They are making money from the West while your average Western ordinary person watching this show now cannot afford to buy a house, cannot afford to have a family. We can tax those revenues at the point of sale. Why do we allow these guys?
It's called a consumption tax.
No, it's not. It's a tax on profits. It's not a tax on consumption.
You just said at point of sale, which means it's a consumption
tax. Based on the profits. You look at how much profit they have,
that's not
and
a
then you work
consumption
out where the profits go. Exactly, it's not a consumption tax, like I'm saying.
So if you tax profits,
yeah,
right, then those profits have to accumulate in that country. And because of the digital ecosystem that we now have, the world we now live in, I can lease the database off of my company in Luxembourg. I can license my logo from a company.
I understand how profit shifting works.
Go on.
Okay, so listen, these guys are not Gandalf. You just say, we don't accept profit shifting. We don't need to accept profit shifting. China does not accept profit shifting. We did not accept profit shifting 50 years ago. We do not.
Hey, is my boy China pilled, bruv? Is Gary fucking... Gary Dengis confirmed, yes.
You don't have to accept profit shifting. But you have a government class who are extremely wealthy and a media class who are extremely wealthy saying it's impossible to tax rich people. And I would like to say, I will agree 100%. It is difficult to tax rich people.
Yeah.
It is very, very, very difficult.
Because we have not developed any type of infrastructure that would allow us to tax rich people more, because it is the wealthy that lobby particular laws to be put in place, okay? If you have a fucking poor black kid that is selling fucking weed on the street, there's immediately going to be 700 laws that can maximize how much damage a 9mm can do to his fucking cranium. But when it comes to one of the most impactful schemes on everyday Joe and Bob and Mary, which is tax evasion, we don't do absolutely anything about it. Because, as they say, the game was rigged from the start. But jokes aside, it was
difficult to tax rich people. I don't come here saying I want to tax rich people because it's easy. I know it's hard. I know probably I'm going to lose. I know our viewers, kids, will live in desperate poverty. I know that. I do this because it is hard. If we are a country which says to ourselves, we don't try and do things which are necessary to keep our kids out of poverty because they are hard, then our kids will live in poverty. I don't need to be here. I'm a multimillionaire, just like you. I could be in the Philippines drinking pina coladas. I come in here because I come from a poor background, and it's ordinary families like my family, like the kids I grew up with, whose kids are going to be in poverty. It's difficult, but it is necessary. Sometimes we have to do things not because they're easy, but because they are hard. That is what makes a rich country rich, and that is what protects ordinary people. Listen, our grandparents lived in poverty. Did they say, let's not change it because it's hard? No, they didn't. They fought and they demanded healthcare, education, housing, food, and they got it. They got it.
So
that's why my parents could live a good quality life. They got those things. They got those things.
Yeah, but Gary, you're talking to a person who is doing exactly all of the things that you're mentioning, but he's now a capitalist. He's doing everything in his power to make sure that his future capitalist children can keep living the way he's been able to live. He's preaching to what's the opposite of a choir? He's preaching to a door.
And they were aware that in order to do that, you could not allow the super rich who have been living lives of luxury for hundreds and hundreds of years to eat everything while ordinary families couldn't afford to feed their kids. I know it's difficult. And I know I'm probably going to lose. I know that. I know I'm probably going to lose. And that means our viewers will be poor. But I do it anyway because I do not want this country that I grew up in to fall into desperate poverty.
Are we recording? 87% of people don't subscribe on the Clips channel.
Jesus Christ, there's a jump scare of the Diary of CEO.
I'm sick of multimillionaires.
The financial security from caring from COVID. Is there financial for most of us? Oh, the home ownership situation. Let's do this.
Ownership.
I'm measuring people by the average. I want to know what the average man or woman in Dublin today lives like.
By the way,
that's a very good point, Chatter. His future kids might be in the guillotines when it gets worse for everyone else. That's why it's good for the capitalist guy to want to tax the rich also. Absolutely. That's the whole fucking rant that I went on 5 minutes ago. It is the last line of defense between the impoverished masses and the super wealthy. Taxation. It is the last lie we still believe that holds up the entirety of modern neoliberal capitalism. The lie that we might get screwed day in and day out at our job and off, but that eventually this guy that's taking everything that we earn for him from us, that eventually he'll give some of that back to wider society. So he might be stealing it from me, but sure, the state will redistribute it to everyone else. There's no reason for me to radicalize. And once that lie becomes visible as the lie that it is, that's when things get extra, extra dangerous, especially for them, ironically. But hey, let the capitalists sell us the fucking rope, if you know what I mean.
I'm also furious about the home ownership thing. Everyone is. I think
that is inherently why it's such a suicidal class as well. The capitalists. Why I pity them to an extent. They are fully enveloped by the profit motive, which is just the material manifestation of the metaphysical concept of just straight up good old fucking greed. And those who rise to the highest echelons of capital accumulation become the greatest decision makers. But those who have managed to rise to the top of the capitalist hierarchy have had to be the most brutal capitalists in order to defeat all the other capitalists and in order to leech off their workers as much as possible in order to become as powerful as they are. So you have a lot of capitalists, different levels of fucking barbarity, but the ones who are absolutely at the top and that they're deciding the economic future of our entire world are the most brutal version of the bourgeois. So they are the greediest ones, and they are the ones that leave absolutely no room for discussion, debate, or kind of mellowing out the intensity at which they want to develop. And my point from this is the market, by making them constantly compete, only allows the most brutal to be at the top. The most brutal that are at the top start making the decisions, but because they're making decisions that are so brutal, it is removing the veil of normalcy for the rest of us about what the capitalists are like, and therefore, in the long term, dehumanizing them in our eyes and increasing our class consciousness. A great example of this is literally Elon Musk, right? Some of the most brutal ones, ending up at the top, wanting more, not wanting to hide behind any sort of veil, makes even the most lambasted and dumbest of liberals understand that the billionaires are fucking idiots. That, of course, gets co-opted by the Democratic Party through the pitch of oligarchs or whatever. So it's not all the billionaires, it's just the very bad billionaires that are the top of the billionaire class or whatever, etc., which is one of the greatest examples of active... Yes, now I'm throwing shade. I'm throwing absolute shade at the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. By talking about oligarchs in particular, you are quite literally whitewashing capitalists. You are whitewashing the idea of massive capital accumulation. You are whitewashing the fact that it is an us versus them situation when it comes to the capitalists versus the workers. By implying that there is such a thing as oligarchs, you're also implying that there is such a thing as good billionaires, okay? By saying there is such a thing as bad billionaires, you are implying there is such a thing as good billionaires. And that's called fucking whitewashing, okay? It's the same as saying there's good Zionists. There's more moderate fascists. That is whitewashing. Fucking stop.
It's utterly ridiculous the way, like the idea that homes are now worth 10 times the average wage, all of that. The difference is I blame government for that. I blame high taxes where because of high taxes, they can take out more debt. They can then inflate the economy.
So do you think if we shrink the government, if we start to slash government spending, do you think that would improve living conditions?
Well, the UK government is 45% of the economy.
Good billionaires is good Nazi vibes to me because it is literally the same. You know what else is Nazi advertising, especially here on Twitch? Well, today, for 35% off, you can subscribe and avoid that ad and avoid ads in perpetuity. But not only that at 35%, if you gift a sub, actually, here at YugopnikTwitch, it costs 70% less, because for every 10 subs, you will get another 5, which equals 15. Therefore, another cut of another 30%. So gift subs now cost 35% off its original price. There you go. Prio now gave a 5. Thank you very much, Prio. When we get another 5, it's going to be 10. Then I will give another 5 from me, myself, and I. And it will make your subs much cheaper. Thank you very much, Prio. Ad already playing. Thank you, Amora of Azga, for the sub. And thank you, Bersalum, for the sub. And thank you, Barry, for another 5. My beautiful, beautiful Barry. I fucking love your wife's husband. There we go. Another 5 for me, myself, and I. Phenomenal. Paint the chat purple, baby. Paint the chat goddamn purple, brother.
That's a huge government. It's
so do you think
biggest
US
since World War II.
And then Pizza Famine comes in, and Pizza Famine says, Yugopnik, you have been accruing too much capital. It is time to redistribute it to the people. And I say, thank you, Pizza Famine. I shall famine with my pizza. Here is another beautiful 5er. Paint the chat purple, baby. Rich people, corporate owners, etc., voted for the Nazis in Germany after. Yeah, dude, it's my friend. Fascists are what traditional capitalists become when they realize they can no longer use liberal tools to protect the status quo. And by status quo, I mean their position at the top of the hierarchy. So a fascist is basically, at its crux, at its core, a capitalist that realized that without using the stick, he can no longer remain in power. So all the illusions of elections, political parties, free speech, etc., are taken away, and the good old stick comes out. So what I'm saying basically is, you don't need to say billionaires really financially supported the Nazis. Nazis are billionaires and billionaires are Nazis. Just give them enough time and credibility, and that's what all of them turn into.
It will increase in the next few years because we have a US government now that's planning to slash the US government.
Well, that's what the US voters have asked for.
Do you think it will improve living conditions?
Do I think it'll improve
for the average American?
If there's smaller governments? I trust markets.
So you think the average US American will be richer in 3 years than they are now?
Here's what I trust. I trust economic freedom. If people have freedom, they create better decisions for their...
Absolutely. I believe in economic freedom as well, such as receiving 100% of the value of my labor after cost. Yeah, I believe in economic freedom as well. I hate taxes, actually. I was lying to you guys. I hate taxes. I hate how my boss taxes me between 70 and 85% of the value that I create for him. It is super unfair. My boss is a disgusting fucking welfare queen leech bitch, DEI bitch, that thinks they are entitled to like 70% of my fucking work because they've been born this particular way. Like, ew, I was born from wealthy parents, that's why I deserve 70% of your income. DEI welfare bitch. Okay? I believe I should be taxed 0 by my boss on the stuff I create, especially not taxed by these fucking leeches, DEI leeches, that are put in these positions of governance only because they were born a particular way, like inherited a bunch of money, or inherited a company, or inherited enough money to get a fancy degree. Huh? How about we talk about real DEI, motherfucker? Real DEI, motherfucker. Being born into wealth, motherfucker. Yeah, brother.
Their own life. There's 2 ways to make decisions.
But what about the risk they took? They took the bigger risk. They took the bigger risk. Yeah, they can take this fucking dick and risk it up their ass is what I'm saying, brother.
And I'm not taking the big risk when I get into my fucking tractor.
What's it? Not the tractor,
There, my boss ain't taking no risks. I'm taking all the risks when I get into my fucking forklift. You know how many people died operating a forklift? 0 bosses, I'll tell you that, sister.
If you create the value, you would be working for yourself. You need the boss's tools. So capitalism is the perfect ground, which gives the boss benefit for taking the risk of employing you, but also allows you to benefit off your effort. This is incredible. Like, look, in the same... Look. You see where I scrolled? Now read this poster. White Wizard was like, but what about the risk? Okay, that one. And then we go to my guy, male rights, right here. In the same line. No, my friend, I get you. I was like you. My friend, I was like you back in the day as well. It's okay. You'll learn. Give it time. There is hope. You will learn. I, for one, as a self-respecting male, because I see your name is male rights, right? As a self-respecting male, I don't accept any kind of excuse made by another person, especially not another fucking guy or whatever, who tells me that I deserve less of what I work for because they're in some sort of hierarchy above me. I look them straight in the eye, and as also a fellow respecter of male rights, I say I'm a fucking man. Ain't nobody fucking stepping on me that way. I'm not a fucking snack. You ain't gonna step on this snack, motherfucker. And I tell them I want everything. I will not participate in this economic cuckoldry, which is to be an employee. You are an economic cuck. The capital is your wife. No, the value created is your wife, and the boss is the bull. Well, as a proud man, I prefer not to be cucked, financially or physically. Okie dokie. But jokes aside, on your particular point, my friend, very simple question. Where did the money come from that he used to buy the means of production? The thing you said, boss, where was it? One moment. If you create, you need a boss's tools, so capitalism, okay, so, but where did the money come from for the tools? And then if you go all the way back, it all goes back to somebody who worked for it, or he himself worked for it. So it all goes back to labor value. You'll get it one day. You're close.
Right? It's
Do you have freedom?
I got less freedom than I did when I arrived. Just
because my sister can't pay the rent. Is that freedom?
If you're living in a country...
She can't afford to live in the city that she was born in.
I agree. You and I agree on the problem. You keep bringing back to the problem.
I keep bringing it back to people because the people who watch... We're millionaires, okay? The people who watch us are mostly not millionaires. Is life going to get better for them?
Life will get better if you are connected to the most productive parts of the economy. If you pretend that it's 1955 and you recreate the post-war era conditions, if you try to go back to 1955, I don't think that's going to work.
So let me ask on that then, the point about if you're connected to the most productive parts of the economy. I was quite surprised when I was doing some research on this to find that there's quite big differences between the UK and the US in terms of GDP growth. In
British man discovers they are no longer relevant. British man discovers that there is a big discrepancy between GDP growth of United States and Britain. British man discovers that he lives in a fucking shithole. Oh my God. That's the same as imagine if you were watching a Polish podcast and the Polish is like Polska Polaku. I was very surprised to see that country not growing at same rate as empire. It is very strange. The fucking male rights posted again. Come on, I don't want to bully. It's not a hierarchy. Let's think about a teleworker who builds EVs. He's not creating value. Musk would have created most of the value, but buying all machines and parts needed to build a car. All the work is overseeing the process and pushing some buttons. Okay, so most of the labor is being done by machines. Machines do not get a salary. So, okay, the machines are making the process of building a car much easier. So, the same amount of value, a larger amount of value is created with less work input, which makes work easier while the same value is being created. So all the values should still go to the worker. Like, let me give you a better allegory. If you want to build a house just with hands, it's going to be much more difficult than building it with an axe and a hammer, right? But in the end, in both cases, you built the house and you should get the house, right? So while these machines might be faster at making the cars, that should not be used as an argument to pay the workers less, okay? It's very good that those machines exist because we're growing technologically and as a society, etc., etc. The value there is the same, you know? The value being created is the same. It just is faster and less hard for the physical body of the person making it. So yeah. Thank you, glory to great Stalin, for the gift stuff. Thank you very much.
For 2020.
For the first gifty.
For the US economy grew by 0.6%, while the UK growth was 0.1%. So they're doing significantly better in that regard. US GDP per head stands at 82,000.
Bro obviously never worked in a factory. Workers have to load parts, troubleshoot errors, do quality checks. Dude, even if they didn't have to, even if they had to just sit there and press one red button or one yellow button, okay? They are giving their time and their mental effort to press yellow and red button. Depending on the value that fucking pressing of button creates, they deserve all of it, minus, obviously, how much has been how much needs to be spent for the upkeep of the machine. So for the electricity, for whatever, the fucking food in the fucking fridge. Minus cost.
$1,000 per head, whereas the UK stands at $49,000 per head. And stock market performance, which is an indication of, I guess, whatever, rose by 300% in the US, whereas the FTSE 100 declined by 20%, which is the UK stock market. Productivity growth since 2018, productivity increased by 30% in the United States, which has outpaced the UK. And lastly...
oh my God, sorry, I got... sidetracked there for a second. What the fuck? Basically, what I was saying previously is if the efficiency of the tool increases, that does not mean that people should be paid less because the tool does more work. So what, the highest paid people should be only those that work with their hands exclusively. What the fuck? And I'm not even going to address the point of, Elon deserves most of the money because he bought the machines. Okay, let's not include Elon at all. Let all the workers get the machines together and then own them together. Remove the inefficiency from the fucking equation, which is the guy that is standing there and he is like, I own this thing. This thing mine. That's why money, please. Mine, money. This mine, money now. Right? Literally. I am meme king. Money now, please. Okay, remove that inefficiency. All the workers own the fucking machines and they sit all day and they press yellow blue button.
Income growth. Since 2007, American income...
But back to this guy. This guy unironically surprised that the United States is a bigger economy than the UK, or that it is growing at a faster pace than the UK. Does the UK economy even grow? Does the UK even exist still? I apologize. There's brilliant people like Gary from the UK, and there's probably lovely chatters from the UK here as well. I love my beautiful bog monsters, but like, holy shit.
Per head has increased by 72%, while it has decreased by 2% in the UK in dollar terms. So they seem to be doing better if you just look at the economy. Why is that? Is that...
You know, when you have a very dumb friend and they're like, so do you know that the fact that you are alive right now means that you beat billions of other sperm cells, and they think it's deep, and you're like, and he's like, the empire currently, the wealthiest country to ever exist, even after all the attempts at self-sabotage that the Americans are very famous for, etc., etc. Why is Britain, irrelevance the island, not growing at the same pace? Why is that? Whoa. Speaking of efficiency, you know what is most efficient in life? Spending the little time you have left doing the things that you actually like. Like watching me. What is the opposite of time well spent? Well, it's advertising, like the ad that is going to play in exactly 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So spend your time wisely, live it up, subscribe for $6 a month, now 35% off, free through Prime, or by gifting. And for every 10 gift subs that are already at 35% off, you will get 15 only here on YugopnikTwitch. And live your life fully. For watching ads is to not live at all. And there is no price on living. Ad plays in 3 minutes and 20. That was not bad. Come on, fuck you.
Because they lean more into technology and to innovation and entrepreneurship? And is it because of the things you were saying earlier about their app?
And ad disparaging ads. No, this is a mutual aid program pitching to you to gift subs to your fellow chatters. For every 10 gift subs, the mutual aid will also chip in with 50%. That's how. And there we fucking... Here's a fucking Kachiro walking in chat, whipping out that massive fucking uncircumcised fucking schlong and slamming it right on chat's fucking table and saying, does anybody got a bigger one? All Oilers, Kachiro is asking you, does anybody got a bigger one? Kachiro is literally asking all of you. He's challenging all the other Oilers. Let's see if any Oiler dares to respond to 20 community subs from Hey Hachiro. I doubt it. I doubt anybody could measure it up with Hey. But let's see. A person could be surprised.
Wonderful, a new child soldier.
I'm a grower. Come on. That's the chatter, you fucking savage. I'm not going to read that.
The government, reduce government spending versus tax the rich. Why? I'm keen to hear Gary's view on this because I understand yours because you've just said it.
Yeah, I think these are great statistics. And of course, the US has a strong reputation for being very free markets and being very small states. In the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, we've had a UK government that has been aggressively slashing the state. And the US...
state's bigger than ever. It's 45% of the economy.
And the US, we had a government in the last 4 years which has been running a massive, massive deficit. So in that period of time, it appears the government which has been aggressively increasing its deficit has massively overperformed the government which has been aggressively slashing the state. That's what it looks to be from the last... Joe Biden enormously increased the deficit, enormously. And the Conservatives were austerity government for 14 years.
This is my boy Gary just, running, I will make an argument no matter what. The type like when somebody's talking about the genocide in Gaza and they're like, oh, what do you think the state of Hamas is or, Hezbollah and so on, like the axis of resistance. And now I'll be open with you, chat. I will always like, no, they still have power. They're taking W's all the time. But I'm fucking lying. Dude, have you seen what the fuck happened in the last fucking year? So, so this is what he's doing basically. He's like, oh, but this don't you know? Biden increased taxes. That's why this happened, etc., etc. So Gary's basically doing propaganda. Yeah. You all think Gary has read Capital? Maybe. I think so. But he doesn't probably. He's more nihilistic. I don't think he believes that a more radical pitch is sustainable. So he's going with this, tax rhetoric, which can be fine. Depends.
Which one seems
Let's see where it goes.
Well, they were austerity in name only. They went from 30%. The state was 30% of GDP.
So do you think 45% of government services are better funded now?
The government is terrible at more.
So he pays 0.6% a year.
Pro rata.
0.6%.
But that would be the same as...
What percent did I pay per year?
No. But that's
60%.
Hold up.
So you're saying...
Let me see. We watched. This we watched. How $100 million plus companies avoid taxes. That should be interesting. Let's learn.
Not that.
Dan, if you're worth more than £10 million, so if we tax...
Thank you for skipping the guy center as a moron. Now we've been watching for a while now. We've been listening to the to the abandoned elf that the elves looked at and was like, this is a fucking creature of the night. We need to get rid of this fucking thing. But yeah, we're listening to both points and then attaching our own.
Tax people on...
This is not Novara Media. This is very bad shit. This is the diary of a CEO, bruv.
Bruv, this is the diary of a CEO, brother. Yeah, brother. I'm gonna die a CEO, brother. They should, from how Gary is whooping this guy's ass, they should call this the die of a CEO. I'm gonna commit die.
As Gary says, that have more than 10 million. What are your options to avoid? Say, if your objective was to avoid that, what options do you have?
Look, if my objective was to avoid it, I pass a board resolution that we're moving the head office somewhere else.
Yeah.
We move the intellectual property somewhere else. I pick up and move my family somewhere else. And within about a week or two, we've got a WeWork office somewhere else. I've got a new house on Airbnb somewhere else. And I cut ties with the UK and I'm non-tax resident here. And I have a digital business. I can literally make my head office anywhere in the world. If there was a particular country that turned hostile towards our operations, then I'd have to withdraw service from that thing. So that's possible, but it's unlikely that would actually happen. But ultimately, if I choose to get up and leave, then I get up and leave. Now, the bigger...
And that is not insane. You're telling me it is not insane that companies which managed to grow to a substantial size financially, which now, again, we're just thinking as regular SOTSDEMs, has managed to grow substantially because it utilized the domestic infrastructure of the country, which was paid for by tax dollars. They can now simply, after having utilized domestic infrastructure, internet, roads, the fucking building not falling down because you have a fucking sewage system that fucking moves your shit and it doesn't make the toilet fucking explode, okay? Tax fucking money. Infrastructure, bitch. So you got to use all of that. You got to use their fucking sewage system for all your shits while you're making the fucking company. And now you made your company explode, and now you can actually migrate that money away somewhere. That should be classified as fucking tax evasion. You should be arrested, and all of your fucking assets should be nationalized immediately, or socialized to the particular workers of your enterprise. And that's it. I'm not fucking doing any LARPs here. I'm just like from the most simplistic fucking business major fucking perspective. This is money laundering, and it should be treated as such. Not even money laundering. This is straight up tax evasion.
The issue is, would I have even come here in the first place? And then there's another issue. And here's the other issue, Gary, for you. You've just had 750,000 subscribers to your YouTube channel.
It's 820,
right?
Yeah.
It's 820, right? So it's going up fast. I could have one of my analysts at a consulting company do a valuation of your brand and do a valuation of your YouTube channel. We could say this is a fast growth media company and it's worth 11 million, right? So we could come up with a forecast and a projection, and we say Gary's Economics is actually a new fast growth media brand. It's worth 11 million. Now, your channel, now you have to pay 100 grand a year in extra taxes because you're a millionaire.
Well, sorry, 1% on wealth above 10 million on 11 million is going to be 10 grand taxes.
Oh, you're saying only on the part above?
That's how taxes
work.
So
it's not on everything. It's okay. So it's a marginal tax.
That's how taxes work.
It's above. So but is it fair that, like, who gets to decide what wealth is wealth and what it's worth? Because wealth.
Okay, what was the point of this whole thing? Jesus fucking Christ, God.
Just to hear me out. Wealth is a technical term for unrealized gains, right? It's not real. Someone buys a house for 20 grand and it's worth 200 grand. They've still got the same house, but now they've got wealth. If someone starts a business and a tiny little seed investor puts in a little angel investment, now they've got wealth on paper. But who gets to say what is wealth? For example, if you introduce wealth taxes, theoretically, that will actually reduce the value of wealth of things anyway, because the things inside that...
Profit! Not revenue, but profit. Profit.
Subscriber.
What? That's wealth. Profit. What? Hello, business class 101. What? What? No, sorry. Was he really like, who gets to define what we all agreed on it? Even billionaires have agreed on this. It is the amount of money you pay out as dividends for yourself or stock owners or whatever. Take it out, send it to your fucking personal account. That's profit. Or you put it in stocks and then you make a certain amount that year that you choose to take out and not keep in the stock to accrue. That's profit. As long as it stays in the firm, it is capital that can be, run. But if you, what? I think he's talking about unrealized capital gains. Yeah, well, those stay inside. Thank you very much, Stargay. Thank you very much, Gay. And thank you very much, Anselise, for the 13-month. Anselise, one of the absolute fucking OGs. And Celticness. Everybody go check out Celticness. I hope you had a lovely... No, it's a shout-out, not a raid. Okay, thank you, Celticness.
That economy are now subject to a disadvantage. So anyway, because things inside that economy are now subject to a disadvantage. So therefore, if you introduce wealth taxes, theoretically, that will actually reduce the value of wealth of things anyway, because things inside that economy are now subject to a disadvantage. So therefore, investors will be unlikely to invest in them to a certain point.
Yeah.
And also, people start cutting and dodging and weaving and ducking and weaving. So they say, oh, our UK operation's worth 10 million, so we're now going to start a second company over in some other country and make sure that's where the wealth accumulates. So it's incredibly...
Okay, so if you're taxing on... Okay, now I understand what the chatter meant to say. Okay, so he's generalizing unrealized capital gains and how one should tax when a particular person doesn't have everything pulled out necessarily as pure profit, but has it in multiple different assets, and which assets do we actually count as unrealized gains, or which should we count as gains? Good question. Let's see what Gary says. Thank you, Zans, for the 2 months. Zans, fucking OG. Thank you very much.
Really difficult because it is just unrealized gains.
I know it's difficult.
Yeah.
I know these guys have the best accountants. I know it's difficult.
So what if there was an easier solution?
If there was an easier solution, I would support that. You know what I mean?
It's called economic freedom. The economic freedom index.
Okay, well, just tell the viewers that. Give them more economic freedom, and then they'll be.
It's going to be super fucking complicated. You got to do. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not an economist. I don't know. The problem with only taxing capital gains is that people can utilize. Billionaires can get around with borrow that. Yeah. Yeah. Now jokes aside, that is a question. I mean, a question that me as a Marxist would answer very simple, because there's no capital gains when there's no fucking capital. And that's why it's a systemic problem where by destroying the class dichotomy, you destroy even the conversation about any form of accumulation, because accumulation does not exist. Therefore, you cannot have a problem on how to properly assess the full value of a company, because it will never need to be assessed, because that's not how taxation will work, because ironically taxation would not be necessary because everything would be socialized. So there is no capital, there is no realized or unrealized capital, there is no asset. All of those concepts are irrelevant. So the solution to the equation is to start a new equation, quite literally.
Be rich.
Yeah, so this diagram here basically says the most free countries have less than 10% poverty, in fact, less than 7% poverty. As soon as you reduce economic freedom, it jumps to 30% poverty.
The solution doesn't even need the abolishment of state ownership of the means of production, lol.
You reduce economic freedom again, and it jumps up to huge amounts of poverty. So these countries here are the least economically free, and these countries are the most economically free. The countries that get in the way of your economic freedom have more poverty, and the countries that let people make decisions for their own life.
So what you're saying is, if the governments of our countries cut taxes on us, the 3 multimillionaires sitting at this table, that will improve the lives of the ordinary British and American worker.
I'll give you a real-life example.
Can't afford to feed their kids.
I'll give you a real-life example. I know of a company that was going to give pay rises to its employees, and then national insurance went up, and instead of giving...
National insurance is a tax on employment.
Yeah.
I'm saying to reduce that. I'm saying to reduce tax on... I want your viewers, the viewers here, to be paying less tax, whilst multimillionaires pay more tax.
It's good in theory, but if you could tax rich people 1% of their wealth above 10 million, I did a back of a napkin calculation, you might be able to get 20 billion.
Yeah.
Right? That's if they don't leave. That's if they don't respond to it. If they just happily pay it, you get 20 billion.
Okay.
That's less than a week worth of current government spending. So the government's out of control. 1.2 trillion a year of government spending is now what they spend.
Okay, so let's get that 20 billion and cut the taxes for the viewers. Cut their income
so
taxes.
That works out about 250 a year.
Okay, so let's do more. Let's make it 60 billion.
So then you tax 3% above wealth.
Yeah, do that.
Right, and then you also bring it down.
Bear in mind,
this is what governments do.
We make 5 or 6%. Yeah, and that's what they did.
Do you know what they do?
That's what they did in the Second World War, and that's why my dad could afford a house.
That's not why he could afford a house.
Okay, all right, well, if ordinary people are losing their houses and the wealth, which they are, and we're getting richer, who is it who is now owning the houses if it is not us?
The government used to own the houses, and then they sold
Government wealth is collapsing. No, government wealth is collapsing.
But what they did is they sold the houses to the people.
Okay, but ordinary middle class wealth is also collapsing.
You can only do that once. And they did it for the baby boomers.
So you think it's our viewers who have got more houses now? Where is the wealth going, Daniel? Where is the wealth going? Who has the wealth now? Who is getting richer? Who's getting the wealth that is lost by our viewers?
I'll tell you where the biggest amounts of money are going.
Yeah, but he doesn't care about the rich getting richer. He cares about keeping the rich that are getting richer inside of the UK. Okay, it's literally a fucking national a pitch to patriotic capitalists. That's a cursed ideology if I ever fucking heard of one, you know? Class collaborationist capitalist type shit.
The biggest amounts of money since the pandemic
Oh wait, patriotic capitalists, that was a fucking thing. It was called National Socialism. Yes.
11 trillion went just to the value of 7 companies that own technology. So the biggest 7 companies in the USA, 11 trillion has
And you don't want their billionaire owners to pay more tax?
Well, would that help the UK?
Well, if you use that money to reduce tax on working people, then it would help, yeah.
They own shares in the USA. They're US citizens. So that doesn't help us here. And
no, but it will help the American consumer. And then we can export the American consumer. And it will mean the American consumer has money. And then it will show British people how much you can achieve by taxing super rich. We can raise tax on our super rich here. And then what I want is these guys to be taxed so much that they start to sell assets. And then ordinary British people can buy assets again. Because what I want is our viewers to be able to own things, to be able to own their own homes.
When I hear this, I admittedly don't know as much about these issues as you guys do, but when I hear that there's these 7 tech companies in the US, my brain goes, can't we have one here?
Yeah.
Can't we start? And then so my brain goes, what condition?
Oh my God, my beautiful British man. I'm back at it again. We was the USA and shit. We was the USA and shit.
Bruv, we was the USA and shit.
One of our ones that we had, yeah.
What conditions do we have to create to have one of those 7 tech companies here, especially in this sort of AI world we're heading towards, where when I was reading through the stats, most of the investment in AI, which is going to be hugely destabilizing across every industry, from driving to any form of knowledge work, even podcasting. I can play you a podcast now.
Yeah.
Which sounds exactly like me, which has a 4.6 star rating on Apple, which was written by AI, in my voice, published by AI.
Wild.
Okay, you want a tech sector that is inflated so much that it is now a part of the United States government, that is now a part of the highest grossing branch of the military-industrial complex, that is utilized in every single system that destroys every ounce of privacy that we once held dear, that has so much power both domestically and internationally in the United States that it is changing whole fucking governments, that is long-term promising to completely overhaul the way we wage war. You want tech companies who started out as fucking apps that count how many shits you took a day, that are now creating fucking drones that can locate you based on your genetic composition. And with all the problems that the UK has, your pitches, I would also love Satan. I would love literal Satan to come and make it a little bit better, bro.
And who's accruing the value there? Well, it's a company in America called 11 Labs, and it's bloody OpenAI. And I go, why can't we?
What the fuck? Who gave me a sub? Thank you so much. Hey, this is YugopnikTwitch. Here, every 10 gift subs equals 5. I waste my own money in order for nobody to be able to watch advertising, together obviously with my beautiful Oilers that also waste their own money. But the idea is for me to hyper stimulate it so that eventually we can be the first place on Twitch where 100% of all chatters are subs.
We have those companies here.
But you're welcome. But it's the reason I'm over explaining it is that it's a system that has given you a sub. It is not me. It is all systems, my friend.
Yeah.
We need them here.
Because China and the US are dominating this next revolution. And I worry as a bystander that if we don't create entrepreneurship-friendly environments here, we are gonna become India.
So if you want businesses that
oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Dominating this next revolution. And I worry as a bystander that if we don't create entrepreneurship-friendly environments here, we are gonna become India.
India has a far brighter future with all their fucking flaws, and they have many, than the UK can ever fucking imagine. India is a relevant regional power. India has over 1 billion people. India is the size of, I don't know, fucking 15 British Isles or some shit. Even if it's 5, I don't care. India has a fucking future, a direction. British exceptionalism is worse than American exceptionalism, because American exceptionalism at least has some legs to stand on, right? Because it still is empire. It still is the world's wealthiest country to ever exist, etc., etc. So the exceptionalism is kind of... But modern British exceptional, like my bruv, the sun not only can set on your empire, bruv, but you don't even have any sun in your empire. It's just fucking rain. There is no sun in empire anymore. That's how big the empire is. Like, what is the scope? Yeah. The way to create a friendly environment to entrepreneurs is to tax high and give people social services so they can take risks such as starting their companies or innovating on something instead of having to slave away from mega corporations. Completely agreed. I mean, the socialist pitch when it comes to the so-called entrepreneurial spirit has always been very simple. Due to the class dichotomy as is, can you even imagine how many tens of thousands of Teslas and Einsteins have been born only to slave away at a fucking farm in a colonized and imperialized country like DR Congo or in fucking central India or whatever? It is exactly through the removal of this massive discrepancy when it comes to who gets access to productivity, who gets access to education, who gets access to fulfilling their potential, that we make sure every single person who has the natural given talents or developed talents to fully bring it to the table for the betterment of our species. That is why capitalism is treasonous to our species. Because of this massive wealth disbalance, we have probably lost hundreds of thousands of brilliant men, women, and NBs because they never had access to resources that could allow them to bring that brilliance to fruition. And that's what's fucked up.
Friendly environments here, we are gonna become India.
So if you want businesses to thrive, you don't need just a good environment for entrepreneurs. You also need people to have money that they can spend. And we are in a country where increasingly most of the people out there have almost nothing left over at the end of the month. They can barely pay the bills.
Those companies are selling globally, right? So they don't need...
Basically, if you want more entrepreneurs, you want 100% literacy rates, you want 100% free education, you want 100% free healthcare. I'm talking fucking globally, okay? You want 100% access to easy modes of transportation from places to places. You want 100% unobstructed connectivity between every single human on the planet, aka access to relatively fast internet. That is the only way you can utilize that spark, that human genius that we still, even as dialectical materialists, have not managed to quite realize where it comes from. That little inkling of the metaphysical, that little miracle that sprawls out of a few individuals, but usually a few individuals that give that very individuality so much power because they dedicate their individual brilliance to fellow man and to community. That is how you make sure a flower can't fucking bloom if it's in a fucking cave. Some managed to, and good for them. Okay, good for them. But the exception to the rule is the proof of the rule. Okay? If you want to fully execute the potential of our species, you must give it a place to do so. And only through the abolition of modern capitalism is that possible.
A new child soldier, subscriber.
Thank you very much, Danny Yankee. Thank you, my Yankee brother. Thank you for the sub with Prime.
Need any particular company to do well. They sell to anywhere. So like OpenAI, ChatGPT, we're all using that bloody product and paying our $20, $30 a month.
Yeah, where do they actually get their money from, right? They get their money from selling data to the rich, right?
My point was making the environment more friendly for entrepreneurs. Because when I start a company, I can't explain the disadvantage I'm at the moment if I start that kind of...
The fucking privilege, bro.
When I start a company, I can't explain the disadvantage I'm at the moment if I start that kind of company here.
In the UK.
There's no investors, and then all the...
subscriber.
Petit bourgeois capitalist realizes that capital has a tendency to monopolize, and that as time passes, capital accumulation will fall into fewer and fewer hands. So that includes you, Joey. You will also be a fucking broke boy. I love how slowly in their eyes the idea they're a temporarily disadvantaged billionaire dissipates, okay? And the dread spreads when they quite literally understand that they're no longer in the 60s and the 70s. Less people have a chance of being a fucking, having the purchasing power of a millionaire back then, today than they back then. Today than they did back then. Ooh, but no, there's more billionaires. But yeah, but they don't have the purchasing powers of millionaires back then. Son of a bitch. Thank you very much, Barry Bowles, for the gift sub. Thank you very much. But no, like the Marxian take on this is literally like, oh my God, it's so fucking hard to start a business nowadays, and they throw their proverbial flip-flop at the government. No, bro, the reason there's no money left over for small businesses is because big business, big business has taken up all the fucking capital, including investments from other rich people, because they're the safe bet. Nobody's going to invest in your eco-friendly Walmart, motherfucker, when there's already fucking Walmart, motherfucker. Walmart ain't fucking going out of business. I'm putting all my money in Walmart. I don't want fucking DEI Walmart over here, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, it's that's why I always joke about these petit bourgeois guys, and specifically petit bourgeois guys with big bourgeois fucking appetites. Is in the long term, my friends, you are as fucked over as the proletariat. You're as fucked over as the workers. It's just going to take a little bit longer for you guys to realize because of the larger amount of scraps they've been throwing at you. But there's not going to be small businesses in 2085. Do you think that there's going to be like that chill little corner store? Ay, blядь. Oh, what's up, Asanabi Industries, baby? What's up, sexy?
Talent seems to flock over to San Francisco. So the guys that built the British guys that built an AI company called Fixer, which I was going to...
I overcomplicated it. I apologize. I just find it too funny. Basically, the argument is that the petit bourgeois, even, which is a completely different category, the labor aristocracy in the long term, should not be loyal to capitalism as a system. Even though now they're getting more scraps, that are taken away from someone else, and they're receiving more scraps only because large capital is biding its time as it's further expanding, further destroying regulations in order to expand even more. Once it eats all the large companies that it's competing with, it will eat all the scraps in the form of petit bourgeois businesses, in the form of unnecessary unnecessary labor aristocratic jobs, aka they will fire you, and state assets like, fucking infrastructure, healthcare, etc., etc. The market expands and commodifies absolutely everything, and it will eventually subsume you into a larger unit until that larger unit is subsumed by a larger unit, till that even larger unit is subsumed by an even larger unit. You are not safe. Absolutely nobody is safe. Ironically, from the fucking billionaire down to the little mom and pop shop guy that is fucking doing big hope that he's a big fucking entrepreneur or whatever the fuck. Our species' destiny has been hijacked by an inhuman system, which is no longer one that serves us, but one that we serve. And the sooner we fucking wake up to that and be truly fucking unitas mundi up in this bitch, we'll just be running in circles and thinking we're a civilization, while at the end of the day just building bigger and bigger malls that whose purpose we forgot an eon ago.
Investing. All British lads from
whose purpose we forgot an eon ago. Ugh, my fucking language.
London. They went over to San Francisco. They're like 25-year-olds. They've just raised at a 60 million valuation. They're in this room, this building in San Francisco, full of entrepreneurs, and they're pumping knowledge and capital into this room.
Cool. With all due respect, Stephen, you're not a great example for the fact that it's impossible to start a successful online brand in the UK.
Facts. But I also realised that
the problem of
But he started when.
Hey, Hugo, finding friendly leftist spaces like your Twitch or the deprogrammed Discord server makes me feel like a caveman who's only used being bashed in the head by other cavemen, and then finally steps out of the cave and finds civilization, and finally finds out what it's like to not be constantly bashed in the head. It's very new and weird, and I don't know how the fuck to feel about it. That you found your people, and it's a vibe. Feel good about it, my friend. It's always nice when you find your people, and I'm glad that you found your people in the relative circle of where I'm sitting, brother. So yeah, that's a lovely thing, Robo. It's just lovely. That's lovely. Not a lot of people manage to do that, so be proud.
Things were different.
But I also realised I don't like using personal examples because there's a huge amount of privilege and...
Okay, is there a ChatGPT in Germany?
No.
Is there a ChatGPT in France?
No.
Is there a ChatGPT in Australia?
No.
Is there a ChatGPT in China?
It's China and...
One sec.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
What you have here is an extremely low labour, extremely high capital model, which employs extremely few people across the entire world that is focused in basically 2 cities.
Yeah.
Good luck competing with that.
How do we create an environment where the UK can start to build some of these companies which are going to capitalise on this next technological revolution? If you were Prime Minister, what would you do?
I think you need to look realistically about what companies do we have a chance of growing. You know, I'm not an expert in AI, but I think trying to compete with San Francisco and London will probably not work.
Why?
Try and do it. Try and do it. And listen, I know that you can get a lot of likes saying, let's just invest in AI, let's just invest it. Only one city in the world outside of China has managed it. China has managed it by basically state capitalism. You know, this is very similar in a sense to what we had with microelectronics in Japan in the 80s, right? When you have a new industry, especially these...
Oh, my guy knows the fucking wording. State capitalism. Let's go. By the way, state capitalism is not necessarily a bad thing. It is simply a step between the systems necessary to be undertaken towards the path of socialism, blah, blah, blah. Read fucking Lenin.
Industries which are very capital intense and don't employ many people, you get a first mover advantage. They tend to win. Eventually, often they get undercut by cheaper rivals. And that does happen. You know, that does happen. And you might start in AI. I don't think AI is going to become a massive, massive employer.
Say capitalism, market socialism, fucking poop shit, fuck, son of a whatever. Like, I don't care.
Of course, you know, a lot of
extended NEP. Yeah. Listen, it's the way you'll find out if China state capitalism right now is just state capitalism for the sake of state capitalism, or if it's a step towards the building of socialism, is after a couple of decades pass and you see if they're taking the next step or they're not taking the next step. That's the whole fucking spiel. Everybody else is basically sitting in an empty room where nobody's asking them about their opinion and going, Ree! Okay? You are making conclusions about a process that has no longer reached its fucking conclusion. That is why I'm more like pro than critical, because I don't know if the experiment will be successful or not. I usually judge an experiment based on the fucking result of it. So let's see the direction it takes.
She's going to be like, because...
But also, as a person from the developing world, obviously I have my sympathies from a different perspective.
Basically, it sounds good. We're going to invest in AI. We're going to invest in AI. Personally, I think we should be looking at what does the British person need? You know, we live in a country where the housing stock is falling apart.
If we say AI, when we talk about AI, I think we're actually talking about technology, because even a podcast like this, you don't think of this as an AI company, but actually now the editing process, the scripting process, the transcription process, even YouTube itself is an AI company.
This man is an idiot. This man is an absolute fucking idiot. He's basically talking about like what tag should we put on things. Like, is this a video company or is this an audio company? I mean, I'm making a podcast which you can listen to only in audio, but also in video. So is it a video or an audio company? Who gives a fuck? Is this I mean, this video is fully supported by YouTube advertising, but it's also supported by crowdfunding on Patreon. Is this a crowdfunded product, or is this a product that's financed by ad revenue? Literally, who in the fuck gives a fucking shit? What? This was the biggest red flag when I started studying business administration, a very good business administration school, by the way, with very fucking whatever fucking we got the biggest dick type of fucking professors, is when like in the whole fucking first year we were talking about fucking value propositions. Value propositions. You know what fucking value propositions are? In this fucking, in the case of a corporation, it's like the basically a sentence or a paragraph around which the company shall revolve when it comes to the direction it wants to do. I'm just standing there and we're like, okay, now everybody write a value proposition for your company. And I'm standing there looking around. I'm like, it's to make money, right? Like, it's to make money. And the professor's kind of like, yeah, but like you can't say that out loud. You got to be like, to improve this or that shit. And I'm like, to improve this or that shit. Okay, I mean, to foster a progressive, diversive environment in which we stimulate each other towards greater leaps of human biological self-exploration. And that was a value theory of value statement for a OnlyFans spin-off company. Okay. That's going to focus more on like diverse people instead of just white people. That was I did that thing. Yeah, my professor found it funny, but Jesus fucking Christ! Fanboy Mal said, "I heard that value proposition, brother, and I heard it right." Thank you very much for the 20. Let us paint chat purple. Fanboy Mao said, I got the biggest dick in the room to Hei Hachiro, who previously said they had the biggest dick in the room. So now they're competing. I don't know if anybody can outsize them. I doubt it, but here's another 10 from me, myself, and I. Thank you very much, Fanboy Mao. Thank you very much. Has anybody got a bigger one than Fanboy Mao? Let's see, depending on how much oil they throw my way. Oiler Wars, Oiler Wars, Oiler Wars, baby. One day we'll get a sub. It's insane if you're a chatterer and somehow the sub is missing you. It's insane. It's unironically. What the fuck?
So it's really technical.
And Hei Hachiro was like, no, more dick a bigger. So right now, Hei Hachiro and Fanboy Mao are literally like they whipped both of their fucking chunguses out on the table, and they were the same. But Hei Hachiro looked over at Fanboy Mao and said, "Haha, you think this is erect?" And then slowly like slapped himself, and then it moved into full size, and now it's double the size of Fanboy Mao. Let's see if Fanboy Mao or anybody else can enter this dick measuring competition here on YugopnikTwitch. I don't know if you'll be able to do it. Here's another 10 for myself. Thank you, Hei Hachiro, you fucking legend.
Subscriber.
Technology we're speaking about here, and I'm wondering why we can't create a better environment in the UK to start launching and building some of these technology companies. We've even seen.
But I think we should, and I think we should be looking at reducing taxes on people who work.
But his point was, I run a podcast and I use AI to edit some of the stuff that makes my podcast a business, an AI business. So I should get money from the government because the government should fund high-tech businesses. My guy just described a way to basically, again, do tax evasion. It's like if I had a podcast, which I do, for example, but like I took someone for a lavish dinner right before we do the podcast. And then we would just get proper fucking smashed, proper fucked up, you know, fucking Grey Gooses on fucking ice, fucking doing lines straight off of the eyeballs of the fucking waiters type shit, right? And then I pay for all of that with the company card, and I'm like, oh, you know, this is tax deductible. This is tax deductible. So he basically like this podcast uses AI, so I should get all the big tech company like tax thingies. Crazy podcast ever. Yes, deprogram. The deprogram. Thank you, Krill Takular. Thank you, Krill Takular, for the 2 months. Very kind of you, friend.
I can make money. This is what I've been saying for the whole time.
What about people who start companies?
Yeah, we should reduce their tax on the income that they make. But then if they start owning a 50 million...
We used to do lines of the copier machine glass. Yeah.
A new child soldier.
£1 company. Yeah. Are you telling me, if you come to me and I say, all right, you want to start a company, we tax you very, very little on a company that you start. Mm-hmm. If that company becomes worth 20, 30, 40 million quid, then we're going to start taxing you. You're going to come and say to me, oh no, sorry, 50 million is not enough for me.
So can I ask a question on that? So my company was valued at 50, whatever, 100 millions.
Congratulations.
And I still had, because I hadn't had an exit event, I still had £10,000, £20,000 in my bank account. Are you saying at the point when I sell the company, or are you saying just because I have shares in the company?
I think you can structure it a number of ways. My preferred way is to stop people from hoarding enormous amounts of wealth for enormous amounts of time. That's basically my preferred method. There's also the wealth tax method. There's also capital gains as a method. There's a lot of different ways here.
There's also make capital accumulation absolutely fucking illegal because money should not be able to generate more money. But hey, am I a communist or some shit? He's suffering, isn't he? Who?
But you have to deal with the problem of, if you do not tax very wealthy individuals and very wealthy families, their share of the
Hey, you Weasley little liar, dude. Thank you very much for the 5 gifties, baby.
Pie will obviously grow over time, and they are, as we are watching, squeezing out ordinary families. You have to deal with that.
My friend sold his company in the UK. It's a company everybody knows. And I remember him saying to me at the time, it was in the middle of the pandemic, he'd got this big exit event. I think he'd made 300 million. And he goes, I'm off. I go, where are you going? He goes, I'm going to go to Dubai and Monaco and live between the two. And I said to him, explain to me why. He goes, well, the amount of tax I'd have to pay in the UK.
Oh, jebem ti sestru u pičku, brate, koji kurac, ono jebote. Talked about coke, started fucking sneezing up in this bitch, bro.
Hey,
never done coke. Never do coke. Fuck coke. I mean, you know, you do you. But no, I'm ethanol exclusive.
Equivalent to me paying...
And even that I don't drink enough.
20 million rent in the UK for the next 6 or 7 years, which he'd have to stay here for. So he went and he pops back in every now and then, but it meant that he could keep that 150 million whatever tax he would pay, never had to pay it to the UK, is living this high-flying life now in Dubai, drops into Monaco every now and then. And I remember him saying to me, well, Steve, I'd have to pay 20 million rent a year to live here. And he went on to say, the UK product just isn't worth it. He goes, crime, I'm going to get my Rolex robbed off me. He goes, the healthcare system isn't the best, the education system isn't necessarily the best, and the particular one was crime, which is I'll get mugged walking through London streets.
Stephen, if you allow British people who own £300 million of British assets to technically live in Monaco and not pay tax, then you will get crime, and you will have dirty streets.
Let me make it cinema. Let me make it cinema. Wait. I'm gonna make it cinema. Wait.
If you allow British people who own £300 million of British assets to technically live in Monaco and not pay tax, then you will get crime. And you...
It was bad, but it was good.
You will have dirty streets, and you will have a bad healthcare system, and you will have education. Because if you give all of the wealth to a group of people who do not tax, there'll be nothing left to provide things like healthcare and education for ordinary people. It's not unconnected.
These people are not technically living there. They're moving out. My friends have moved out of the country. They don't come back to the UK. They've left, and they leave with their companies.
So they built a company here.
No, they typically build globally
and pay no tax.
They typically build globally business.
Okay.
It's not that they
pay. It was a global business.
They don't pay no tax. They pay extortionate amounts of tax. Right? Anyone who's here is paying extraordinary taxes, more than they've ever paid before. 1% pays 30%. 10% pays 60% of 1.2 trillion a year worth of government spending.
300 million. How much tax do you reckon he's paid in his life?
I have no idea. His business was global, though. His biggest customer was the US.
Because I pay 60%, and our viewers will pay 30, 40, 50%. Do you think it's fair that your 300 million guy pays his 2 or 3?
I have no idea what he pays.
Well, it sounds like he didn't pay 50%.
Well, he dashed before he got the tax bill.
But why do we allow it? Why do we allow it? I'm not allowed to not pay my tax.
What could you have done to...
You are allowed to. When you were in Japan, you wouldn't have paid UK taxes.
Yeah, because I was working in Japan and I paid Japanese taxes.
Yeah, because you were living in Japan. This is the thing. People can live wherever they want now. So,
but we're talking about... I think we should stop obfuscating tax on people's work from tax on the assets that they own.
So I'm talking about entrepreneurs' work generates wealth. So when
if I earn £1 billion of British houses...
Yeah.
And then I say I live in Dubai, and I'm getting the rent on £1 billion of houses, which would probably be something like, that's going to be something like £50 million a year. So I'm getting 60 million pounds a year of rent from British people.
Yeah.
And that gets paid to me from British people.
Yeah.
And I don't pay tax. I live in Dubai. Do you think that's fair?
No.
All right, so let's change that. Let's make people pay tax on their wealth, regardless of where they live.
Yeah. The question would be though, how would you tax people, right? And how would you actually structure it? Because regardless of what you feel like is fair, this is the thing. It's not about fairness. It's about what you can pragmatically and practically do in the modern economy. Yeah. You might say, like for example, if we said what's fair, a lot of people would say a flat tax is fair. You make £1, you pay 20%. You make £1 million, you pay 20%. You make £100 million, you pay 20%. So a lot of people would say the fairest tax system would just be a flat tax on everything, right? That would be a fair thing. It's pragmatically, can you do it? Is it actually good for society? Should people be excluded from that? So it's not about fairness. It's about pragmatically, what can you get away with?
All right, well, pragmatically, what we can get away with is desperate poverty for our viewers' kids.
If you want to have... Can we zoom out just a minute, right? I want to zoom out.
Let's zoom away from our viewers' kids.
Zoom out.
Forget about them. They're not that important.
Okay, so the question is, what can you pragmatically get away with? And we should structure society around... minimizing what somebody can practically get away with. Well, if we follow this logic... Oh my God, what the fuck is up with my throat? The fucking throat goat, bro. I am sick as shit. Momento, apologies. Well, then talk.
I'm a dad, right? I got 3 kids.
But you are a multi-millionaire dad.
Do you know?
You probably don't have the same problems as our viewers.
Do you know that kids born into the top have a 60% chance of dropping out of the top, right? 60%. That's the number. It's called persistence. You can Google it. The persistence rates is actually only 40% for the richest, which means 60% drop out in the second.
Do you think your kids have a 60% chance of living in poverty?
Not poverty.
Do you know what's interesting? That we're all trying to aim at the same goal, I think, here.
I'm not sure we are, boss.
Well, that's fair.
Okay, the point is, what was the point? The point is how many people drop out. Watch my video on Will You Be Happy If You Get Rich? It was titled something of the same sort. Rich, Yugopnik. No. This. Becoming rich will not make you happier. There I cut down the specific statistics of actually how likely you are to be wealthy. But then I undercut that statistic with the question of the chances of you becoming so wealthy plus you becoming happy from said wealth is almost equal to a non-existent percentage, including the wealth percentage, which is also close to a very, very small number. And there I also talk about, you know, the inheritance percentage. They spin it because they're usually like, okay, not all the super rich people who have kids. The kids don't end up being the rich ones. They give. That's what gives more space for new people to enter this particular category of wealth. But the joke there is that's not how it works. So let me draw for you. I'm very bad at drawing. Okay. So we have a pool of people. Can I use this? We have a pool of people. No, it's fucking bad, okay? We have a pool. Oh, no. Oh, my God, this app is bad. What's up, Anonymous? Thank you very much, Xi Jinping, yourself, for those fucking beautiful 10 gifters. Here's another 5 for me, myself, and I. Thank you, Xi Jinping. Everybody salute. Thank you. Say thank you, Xi Jinping, for every time I get an anonymous gift sub. That means that China is listening, and China is sending me moolah. Okay, so this is a group of all people that exist in society, right? This is everybody that exists. No, this is all the money. Let's say this is all the money. The circle is all the money. And now I'm going to draw the people. And here you, for example, have a chunk of the people like this. No, actually, that's not how it works. This is not how I can explain it. This is not how I can explain it.
Wonderful, a new child soldier. Subscriber.
How do I explain it? I don't need the sketch to explain it. Basically, if you have a bunch of rich people, they have kids. Only 40% of the rich people's kids maintain the same wealth level. The first thing you think with this is, okay, now everyday people will get to move into that wealth because now it's available for everyone. But that's not why they lost money. Most money does not get distributed downwards. Actually, none of the money gets distributed downwards. The children of super wealthy people, the money they lose to even wealthier people. The survivors in the capitalist class eat other capitalists, and when they eat them, no scraps is thrown down to the workers. It just gets redistributed upwards, right? So that the fact that not all rich people's kids remain rich doesn't mean that that money goes back into circulation and you can eventually get it. No, it just, because of capital's tendency to monopolize, it goes up. It goes into smaller and smaller cartels, and afterwards smaller and smaller monopolistic markets. Okay? You lose to banks. Banks are an example of larger entities eating smaller entities. So that's the main point to use against that sort of argumentation.
That's fair. Maybe we're not.
I suspect some
I
of
have no idea how I could draw that. I don't know why I thought I could draw that. I apologize. Big fail, big L. What's up? What are you saying, Femboy Mao? Let me translate it for myself. Oh my God. Thank you, Femboy Mao. We got Xi Jinping and Mao in here.
So maybe trying to protect our kids.
No, I want widespread affluence through the technological revolution that's happening, and I don't want the people who create that to want to go somewhere else.
So you agree with me that we should cut tax on wealth creators and raise tax on wealth hoarders?
Well, broadly.
Okay, so let's do it.
But
let's cut tax on people who are making income. Let's cut tax on people who are working hard, creating a good product, making a good income, and let's raise tax on people who are sitting there on 20, 30, 40, 100, 200, 500 million pounds of assets that they're going to give to their kids and they're going to use to dominate society and squeeze out the middle class.
So who's an example of someone who's hoarding wealth?
Rishi Sunak.
So his family owns a tech company.
His wife's dad owns a tech company.
That's what I mean.
Which he will inherit, and his kids will inherit.
But his net worth that is quoted is based upon his wife's...
Yeah, but that company already exists.
Yeah.
It's created now.
Yeah.
It's worth billions.
But they have to reinvent that business every 2 years. Like it's a...
So you think that if Rishi Sunak's father-in-law stopped managing the company, it would be valueless?
No, I think it hires hundreds of thousands of people, and it's a big company. I don't know a lot about that particular company, but I know it's a tech company.
Steve Jobs died. Okay,
Yeah.
Is Apple valueless?
No.
Let's not pretend that these creators are the sole reason these companies are valuable.
Sure.
And what we're talking about here in many cases, I was a trader. Okay.
What was even the argument being made there?
And I'm worth millions of quid, and now that is just assets. I just own the assets. I own the assets, and that will grow, and it will grow, and it will grow, and it will grow, and that will squeeze out and squeeze out and squeeze out and squeeze out our viewers. And I'll give that to my kids. They don't even need to work. They wouldn't even have to work. They could just live on. I could live off the wealth. Is that what you want?
Do you think there are any opportunities for people today? Like, if you're born into a poor family, do you think it's possible that housing being shit, and we can both agree on that, but do you think there are new opportunities that didn't exist for our parents or grandparents, but they do exist for people today?
I think the reality is, for kids from poor backgrounds, it is almost impossible to realistically get even financial security, never mind wealth.
But why do you think you could do it, I could do it, he could do it, but you don't think other people could do it?
Well, the first thing is I'm 38 now, so I'm not a kid nowadays. Listen, I won every maths competition I've ever...
Why do you think that because I can do it, you can do it, and you can do it, everybody can do it? What in the name of survivor bias? Блядь. Luck, not just luck, let's say like incredibly hard work, etc., but it's... It implies that you worked harder than everybody else, which is an incredible fucking position to stand from.
I've ever been in. You know what I mean? Since I was a little kid, I didn't even have a desk in my house. I was one of the top students at LSE, and I still had to win my job by cheating in the card game. That's the world that we live in. I don't think that's a very replicable strategy. And look, it's very easy for people like us who made money to say, oh, we did it, aren't we great? Go out and,
If Messi and Ronaldo can be possibly the best players in the world, why can you? Great point, but also like a wrong allegory, because the sport, even though obviously there's massive disbalances in privilege and access all around the world when it comes to access to professional sport, but compared to modern capitalism, it's a much more fair playing field where everybody competes with the same ball on the same field in the same, trying to shoot in the same goalpost. Well, in the market economy, it's very fucking different. In the market economy, it's basically a guy in a massive fucking truck pushing a massive fucking ball towards your thing, and your tiny little fucking Johnny with a tiny little leather ball trying to play against a truck.
You've said that you think if young people go and work in tech business, they can get financial security. If it was that easy, they'd all be doing it. They're not idiots. Our viewers are not idiots. They're trying. They want to find the good opportunities, and they work. Listen, they're
I'm
working
not the one
so
saying
hard.
they're idiots. You're the one who says that they can't do it anymore. I see people do it all the time. Like, I'm working in entrepreneur.
People from poor backgrounds. But then why are our viewers?
Okay, but no, Gary, why are you even asking this, my love? Ask what it means. I see them do it all the time. We have fucking statistics. We see how much wealth travels, how much capital accumulation travels, and we see that it's not working on average for 99% of people. Almost everybody dies in the income bracket that they were born in, and that doesn't mean they remain as wealthy as how wealthy they were when they were born because of fucking inflation. So that's why I hate that statistic. No, people die on average poorer than the level they were born in, because the level they were born in loses value over time, etc., etc. What is this conversation even?
You think all of our... If it was that easy, why is everybody not doing it?
I'll tell you why people aren't doing it. We went through a schooling system that taught us how to get an office job.
Okay.
Right? We went through a schooling system to prepare us for a world that doesn't really exist anymore, which is the Industrial Revolution world. And you have to go through a process of figuring out how it really works. So what...
Okay. So we should teach people more about how corporations work, how capital accumulation works, and how to become wealthy. Okay, let's say we agree. You teach more people how to be bosses, right? And now everybody's educated on how to start a business and how to run a business. So you have like 10 million people in a 10 million people country that are really good at doing business administration. But then who works in the businesses? Who's gonna operate the thing? You know, if there's no production, what's the meaning of means? Oh God, it's fucking liberal brain rot, bro. Oh Lord, my God. So easy.
What I see is that most often the people who do really well financially who are young, they dropped out of school, they dropped out of university, they started learning how to do things by doing their own research. They start their own business or co-found a business. They take a very alternative path. None of that was taught to us at school. None of it's taught to us in normal society. We have a school system that manufactures people for...
A good analogy for this is the bubonic plague. It wipes out 1/3 of the population of Europe, but 2/3 survived. If you were one of the 2/3 that didn't die, you could say, well, if I survive, why couldn't they? Especially if you were born to nobility and had a walled castle to hide in, your chances of survival were better from the start. Absolutely.
Set of skills that are not alternative by doing their own. They dropped out of school, they dropped out of university, they started learning how to do things by doing their own research. They start their own business or co-found a business. They take a very alternative path. None of that was taught to us at school. None of it's taught to us in normal society. We have a school system that manufactures people for a set of skills that are not particularly valuable anymore, and we also get them in debt for those skills. When people sidestep that...
Dude, in the very same capitalism you're defending, a skill is valuable only because it is less present, only because it's more rare, okay? It is not a particular profession's value is not based on how much quality it produces or how much of a positive impact it has on society inside of the market economy. It is literally how necessary it is for particular functions and how divided by that necessity, how rare it is. So if you're basically saying society didn't teach us about all this valuable stuff, which is only valuable because it is rare. If society stops teaching anybody about how to be a plumber, but teaches everybody how to start up an AI business, being a plumber is going to become the highest paying fucking job in the market economy. What is going on? What are these points, bruv?
And say, okay, I'm not going to get into university.
No, the world would crumble. Don't even get me started on the world crumbling, my dear friend. It's like he understands the notion of needing to look at the market and then adapting to the market in order to be really, really fucking well off. So it's a fair game between everyone, but then he doesn't realize how the game actually works. It's like one element of the supply and demand that still kind of applies. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, pandas! Cuting. Never forget to cute. Kako sam lep danas. Kako sam dobar. Sad ću da idem da jebem kurvu. OGs know the reference.
Be debt. I'm just going to go off and actually figure out how the world works. There's actually loads of opportunities.
Okay, so...
Thank you, Glacy. Another child soldier. Thank you. Beautiful. Fucking legend.
Yes, we've sorted it then. All of our viewers need to do is go and buy Dan's book become an entrepreneur and become a millionaire. It's that easy. Why weren't you guys doing it to begin with? They're idiots. The viewers are idiots. They should be just being more entrepreneurial. It's as simple as that. More entrepreneurial, start a business. Listen, I come from East London, okay? My friends can't feed their kids, okay? And if it was as simple as going out and being an entrepreneur, I can bet you they would do it. I can bet you they would do it. I'm sick of multimillionaires telling kids who can't afford to turn the heating on, you just need to be more entrepreneurial. It's sick, Dan, it's sick. This gives people mental illness. It gives people mental illness. Tell them the truth, okay? We, your older generation, we took the opportunities and now it's almost impossible to get out of poverty. And don't just stand up there and wave, your millions of pounds in front of them and say, if you were entrepreneurial like me, you could do it, you could have it. Because it's sick, because they can't. They can't feed their kids, Dan. They can't turn the heating on. Don't tell them to be more entrepreneurial. Fix the system that drives more and more and more of them into poverty every generation.
I find it very strange that you think it would be easier to fix the entire global economic system than to start a business and fix your own personal economics. The thing that I know that gives people mental health issues.
Yeah, there you go. That's the discrepancy. That's the discrepancy between a highly individual person, someone who genuinely cannot see past their nose, whose entire perception of life is based on how comfortable they can make themselves be, and maybe some close family members. These are people who do not have the wisdom, the intellectual capacity, or not just class consciousness, just consciousness that can allow them to see past individual experiences. Okay? Not to fucking... Bro, they always sell this shit as pragmatism or not being idealistic or, taking care of their own first, usually alluding to family or whatever the fuck. But all of these fucking freaks, at the end of the day, the fact that they need to make so many excuses, so many ways through which they explain their logic, etc., is because they know that what they're doing is wrong. Deep down. That's why we always jump the gun and talk about the practicality and shit.
Feeling that they have no agency in their life, that they can't do anything. Your video where you talk about if you don't have a rich dad, you're screwed. There's no such thing as meritocracy. You never...
Okay, so one person is talking about how a system works and how it on average impacts tens of millions of people. The other person tells you, hey, you, don't think about 9,900,999. Think about yourself. There are ways that you can actually live really well. Does that mean that all the rest of them are going to continue living the very shitty existence that you're living right now? Yes, absolutely. But there's a chance that you can get better. You can no longer just be a temporarily disadvantaged millionaire, but an actual millionaire. Think about you. Okay? Well, the other one says, what about we improve society somewhat? And then obviously the reply is like, nah, chill the fuck out. That's insane shit.
Never going to be successful. To me, if I had have come across your content at 19, 20 years old, I would have been screwed. I'm so glad that I came across people who said...
Dude, he doesn't talk about this in order to dissuade people from pursuing personal growth or even getting the bag. Chat, please get the fucking bag. Live as fulfilling of a life as you possibly can. But don't lie to yourself that even if you manage to get the bag one day, that you are somehow there because you've acquired a special set of skills that nobody around you had. No. At the end of the day, you were at the right place at the right time, sprinkled with a little bit of fucking privilege and a lot of fucking luck. And a lot of work. I'm not denying your fucking work. But the other ones, I'm not denying either. But if I improve society, I might not be able to take advantage of the business systems to become a millionaire someday. Yeah.
Daniel, you weren't born into a rich family. You don't have any bank of mum and dad, but it's cheap and easier than ever to start a business. Start by working for someone who's got a business, then figure out what's your opportunity. And there's a way. There is a way. I've actually worked with a lot of teenagers from poor backgrounds. And one of the things we do is we tell...
This is additionally fucking angering to listen to as a fucking communist, because the whole fucking pitch in a system that is fucking annihilated by this constant class competition, this constant fucking class dichotomy. His whole pitch is betray your class and become one of us. I'm not as bad as the other capitalists because I'll teach you how to become a fellow capitalist. That's the whole pitch, and that's always been the pitch. The hope that you can one day not be stepped on by the boot, but can become the boot. And he's saying it so openly, and he finds it like not only rational, but fucking ethical. It's...
Wonderful.
What's up, Garvey? I became too.
Tell them if it's possible for someone else, it is possible for you. I also worked in rural Uganda with a charity that did work with the poorest of the poor. One of the most incredible things I ever saw was a woman who started out literally picking food out of a trash pile, and she was basically they shared with her how to start a chicken business, which then ended up as a pig business, which then ended up as a cattle business, and she ended up hiring 15, 16 people in her local community. The power of entrepreneurship is that starting with nothing, you can actually make improvements. I'm not saying everyone ends up as a millionaire, and I'm not saying everyone ends up equal, but I'm saying you can make improvements in your life. And the thing that causes mental health issues is the feeling of having no agency or no control over your circumstances until the world changes the whole economic system.
No, the opposite is what causes mental issues, and it's the belief that, if you are smart enough and if you work hard enough, you will eventually get the bag. And if you do not have the bag, that means there's something inherently inferior about you that others do possess, but you do not, that has allowed them to climb the hierarchy faster than you yourself and you.
Listen, I never told people don't work hard. I never once said that. Never once said that.
You said if your dad wasn't rich, you'll never be rich.
Which is true in 99.9% of cases. I've never told people don't work hard.
That's actually not true in 99% of cases.
I've never told people don't work hard, okay? And listen, if you think that Ugandans should be more entrepreneurial, I've never been to Uganda, maybe that's the problem out there. Maybe that's the problem in Nigeria. Maybe that's the problem in India. Listen, I've never said don't work hard, okay? When I brought my book out last year, the hardback, I was at some event and I come out, I was drinking in London Bridge. And I come out late. It was like 1 a.m. And
fucking London
some
is
guy
so
came up
cooked.
to me when I was unlocking my bike.
London is so cooked. 1 a.m. late. Holy shit! What the fuck?
Some guy from Newcastle, which is the northeast of England. It's this quite poor town. There's a lot of working class people there. And he said, I've been watching you on YouTube, and I love your stuff. And this guy started crying. This guy started crying on the street, right, in front of me.
Fuck.
He's like, I work so hard, Gary. I work 2 jobs. My mum's sick, and I'm trying to help. I'm trying to support, and I don't understand why. And I'm sorry that I'm crying, but nobody ever told me that it wasn't my fault before. That's what he said to me, okay? And listen. I believe 100% aspiration, ambition, entrepreneurial spirit. I would never see a kid that has that and say, turn it off, okay? But the flip side of if you just work hard enough, you can make it, is if you didn't make it, it's because you didn't work hard enough and it's your fault. And I would like you to sit and think very hard.
Literally what I just said, yeah.
Before you send that message to young men and young women in our society.
Yeah, I don't care. Shut the fuck up. Gentlemen, ladies, and bees, my beautiful scumbag lefties, it is a Saturday. What in the fucking shit are you doing with me? I want you to go out there and party. Party, party, party. But before you do how about you go and check out a friend of the show. I've been raided many times by Kairos Rev. So let me raid Kairos Rev right back. I want you to go and give them a follow. Thank you very much for the time you spent with my beautiful ass today. I will be seeing you on the day of tomorrow. Wait, Aiden Ross suddenly unbanned from Twitch. Shobля. Aiden Ross suddenly unbanned from Twitch over 2 years after indefinite ban. Aiden Ross didn't let his Twitch ban stop him from staying one of the biggest streamers in the world, taking him massive. Okay, that's interesting. Is Aiden Ross going to be back? Fantastic. Going to Aiden Ross' account is a step back into time, with it still having the same old panels it had 2 years ago. He was already big on Twitch in 2023. Some of his most loyal fans noticed early on that his account has been restored. But even then, the following count is sitting at around 1.6k at the time of clicking. On Kick, his following account is 1.6 million. Okay, that's interesting. More Nazis on Twitch. Fucking Hassan about to become the third biggest politics streamer on Twitch. Show the fuck. Anyways, thank you very much, everyone who followed. If you're here and you have not clicked that button, what the fuck are you doing? It's like a button. You like press it. It's like purple and shit. It's quite cute. You like press it and you follow. Thank you to everybody who subscribed. If you wanted to subscribe but you haven't subscribed yet, what the fuck? It's just like a button. It takes like $6 minus 35% away from you or whatever the fuck. Just click the button. What the fuck? Thank you to everybody who oiled me. If you were thinking about oiling but haven't oiled, what the fuck? There's like a button, minus 35%. Give another 5 gift subs for every 10. Thank you to my beautiful mods, and I will see you tomorrow. Great stream today. Very chill. I started very late. I usually don't start that late, but I was doing an interview with my beautiful Brazilian comrades that took a second and a half. No, your streams are too short. You need to make them longer. Need more of that Yugopnik cocainum. If we manage to grow the show, I am very, very willing to go on longer. But like this, I have to prioritize and stuff, and I work on 3 other projects, and then, I put more stuff and more time into that. If we manage to hopefully grow the stream, the more we grow it, the more time I will dedicate to it. But I would love to, of course. This is together with the pod, of course, because I hang out with my 2 boys. This is by far my favorite thing to do. Unironically, I really enjoy streaming. Like it's nothing like YouTube. It is so much cooler than YouTube. It is so much cooler. Because as I said, over there, it's just writing books. And leaflets. Here, it's we are drunk, we are in a fucking bar, and I'm screaming to you about how you're a revisionist piece of shit and you should actually listen to me more. Anyways, I wish you a lovely fucking weekend. I will see you tomorrow. I love you. Unitas Mundi. Go say hi to the raid. Ciao.